I just wake up in the morning and I yell a lot, even though it's way too early. It's fun though. Wake up, wake up, wake up!
That's right. Wake up right now. Get up out of your dang bed immediately. I am here, freshly charged, ready to go with all sorts of new energy, action, and of course, rage when we get to the appropriate segment. Because I am here to, I think, what was the thing that I put in the comments? Said, let's uh, let's get after it before the competition wakes up. Because I promise you, once they get up, they're trying to beat you. Whoever you're competing against, if it's yourself, I don't know how to help you, but you got somebody at work that you're competing with in terms of getting that promotion. You got somebody in business you're competing with. Look, you need to be ahead of the game. They need to be catching up to you. My martial arts instructor used to always say, "Don't let them test your defense. Use them to test your offense." And that's what we're about today. That's why we up way too early because we hit the ground running. All right, we have got a packed show for you once again today. Shout out to everybody who is here. So, of course, it's the East Coast. So, what's up to the East Coast? We lead the way as usual. And once again, if you guys want to support the channel, which I assume you do because you're here watching, go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe for me. If you are checking this out audio only, then go ahead and give me a good, favorable review because I need you guys' help to grow. On YouTube, we're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers. So even if you are just listening, do me a favor, take a second, go to Garage and Life on YouTube and hit that subscribe button because I got to get to 50,000 subscribers. We are close to 34,000 right now. And I'm telling you that it really, really matters. Not only does it help me because it helps me get to my goal, helps me get more opportunities to be able to get the content that you like, but it also tells YouTube that that's the kind of stuff that you want to see, that stuff you want to watch on YouTube. So it cuts down on the garbage stuff that you don't want to see on this platform. So help me and in turn help yourself at the exact same time. If you guys are already subscribers and you want to show me some love, go ahead, click that join button. You become a member. It's 99 cents a month and you support the channel. And the goal is for me to be 100% funded by you guys. That's right, 99 cents from each person who watches and who is subscribed would basically make me self-funded. And it would mean I wouldn't even need to do brand deals or anything else like that, which is the goal. So appreciate that. Now, let's go ahead and say what's up to everybody who is here. Let's see. Eric Echoes, first in the building, said he's been up for hours. Let's go. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. But Eric, what I need to know is, have you been awake for hours? Like you woke up early, or did you just not go to sleep last night? Because that's a cheat. Okay, that's a cheat. You can't just not go to sleep and say that you got up early. All right. My man Carlos, good morning, Vietnam, aka Houston. That's right. I hope you guys are recovering from that tornado or whatever y'all had hit y'all last week that had the audacity. It couldn't have hit Thursday. Had to hit Friday to screw up my interview with Jason Mike. That's all right though. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have Jason back on and we're gonna check the weather report to make sure nothing's crazy over there. All right, let's see here. Eric says he's gonna be in the background as he's working. Hey man, look, you're not the only person to do that. I love it when you guys do that actually, because I think that's the whole point of the show. I want to give you something cool to listen to while you're working. Andrew Towers, you have influenced one of my wardrobe choices. I'm going out to get it. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm just telling you I'm going out to get it. And it is heavily influenced by Andrew Towers and all that is him. Carbs Gym. Let me show you something. See that right there? Shout out to Carbs Gym. All right. I saw Joe Gray wearing the Carbs Gym shirt. I said, man, I had my shirt before him. I'm wearing it right now. So boom, let's go. Let's go. Central Time Zone in the building. I'm still going to say what's up to the rest of Central Time Zone at 7 o'clock. Let's see here. All right. Okay, you wake up at 2:45, Eric, when you got to go to work on Fridays. Okay, I need to call you the morning lifter. Unfortunately, that's copyrighted. Can't have that designation. All right, let me just tell you guys what's going on today's show, and then we can jump right into it. So, first of all, I want to know what's on your workout schedule for the day. I'm actually having to double up because I'm going to be doing overhead press and deadlifts today. And I had to double up because I was in Maryland on Monday, so I didn't get to squat. So that meant I had to squat and bench on Tuesday. And so I gave myself some extra rest and just said, okay, we're going to work out Tuesday and Friday this week. I don't want to deadlift tomorrow because I've got a new power rack to put together with my wife, and we have to shoot a review video. So it's going to be overhead press and technically landmine press and deadlifts today. And you guys know we're going to shout out each time zone when it is 6 a.m. for them. And then coming up right after that, in fact, I see him. I'm looking at him right now. We are eye to eye, which is mostly because he's sitting down because he's a tall dude. But I'm looking right at Sean Donaldson right now from Band Steel Equipment. He is in the building. We originally had Sean scheduled for 8 o'clock, and he said, I'm too eager. I gotta get in there first. So we got him at the 6:05 hour, and which means I'm now late because it's 6:06. And then right after that, we got Johnny Lane from the USPC. I know a lot of you guys don't compete in powerlifting, but I'm telling you, it is, for those of you who do, I am here to tell you that the USPC is a great federation to compete in. And it's not just because I'm live streaming stuff for them. I truly do I like the character of the people who I've encountered who work for the USPC so far. And so anyway, regardless, Johnny has worked with multiple federations. He's been a powerlifter. He's a home gym owner. And so we're going to ask him some questions related to competing from the standpoint of someone who has a home gym. Also, I need a favor. I'm going to repeat this a couple times during the show. I need you guys to send me your Garage Gym Life banner pictures. If you've already sent me one, send me another one. Then if I'll check it out. And some of you guys, I'm going to ask you to email the picture to me. But everybody just go ahead, DM it to me at Garage Gym Life on Instagram because I need it for a project I'm working on. We're going to have news and other things at the 8 o'clock hour. And of course, that includes your favorite segment, Recliner of Rage. And so now that Matt Welch is here representing the entire British Isles by himself, now that he's here, we can go ahead and get started. All right, we were just waiting for you, man. Let's get started with our first guest. Sean, welcome to the show.
I like that intro music. That's
only the
official.
best, man. We have only the best for you. You know, we spared we went ahead and we went full all out on the budget in the free YouTube music library to get you the finest intro music. You know what I really want, to be honest with you, what I really want, if I had the funding for it and licensing permitted, it's not just funding, it's also that it's got to be possible. I would love to get the Thus Spake Zarathustra, I think that's how you say it, that Ric Flair used to come out to, and then let that, man, I'm telling you,
yeah,
that would be awesome. You know what I mean? But it's not just a matter of you can't just go to like the licensing thing, because right now, like there are different record companies that own the music, and so you have to figure out the specific one and work out a deal with them, and it's just ridiculous. So, but things are changing. My cousin owns this is all a tangent, it has nothing to do with home gyms, but my cousin owns a music studio, and he said that things are changing because of AI. So things are probably going to get easier as far as licensing goes. So if that's something that you guys wanted to know, well, congratulations, you woke up early and there's your reward. Music is going to get easier to license, especially for your YouTube video. Let's see. So I know you don't have a ton of time. You've been given a few chores for the day by your wife, and I completely understand that. And I don't want to get you in trouble because I'm not going to do any of the things for you that your wife will do for you. I mean, none.
Unfortunately.
I won't even share your last name like she will. Okay. Nothing. All right. So let's talk about, let's just jump right into Home Gym Con. Most people who are here like you and know you, and I know they want to hear from you. So what's the biggest thing, man? The biggest piece of feedback when Jake watches this? What's the biggest piece of feedback you can give Jake as a vendor at Home Gym Con? Given it was your first time.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the first thing was I think he did an outstanding job. I was quite impressed with the setup, how everything ran. It was very smooth. Wasn't really any issues. Jake was really accommodating because I came in, I think I got in there Thursday night at like 10 o'clock to set up. I didn't leave until almost 1 a.m. Friday, I think. So uh, the flexibility to come in kind of after hours, so to speak, was really good. I can't really say enough good things about how it was ran. So that was really good. The one thing that I kind of left with, I felt like there was a little bit more in the tank. Probably if we had one more day, it just felt like, because I had a lot of people say to me, never got to your booth. Oh,
Yeah,
you were on my list. I could never get to you, or it was just the fact that I was already in a conversation with somebody else. Somebody might
right.
have said, "Well, I'll come back," and then just the stars didn't quite align. So I feel like if there was one more day, even if it was like a half a day, something where we had maybe just a hair more time. I know these trade shows are, I mean, they're a real grind, but it's an opportunity to, especially like the home gym con, many other vendors said the same thing. It's a chance to really connect with the community. And I got to do that quite a bit, but I felt like probably could have used one more day to do that.
It's interesting because you have so content creators, you and I were talking yesterday. I said content creators would like an extra day. We like a day. Like for me, it'd be better to come in on Thursday. Uh, I know the Arnold does Thursday through Sunday, but for me, it'd be better to come in on a Thursday and have that day to do my interviews and basically knock out all that kind of stuff, and then do any kind of cleanup stuff, interviews slash booth tours, and then do any kind of cleanup stuff on Friday. And then you just have Saturday to kind of just walk around and kind of just, kind of be part of the scene, maybe get B-roll, but mostly just experience the thing. I'm like a big believer in eat your vegetables and later you can have dessert, like get your work done first. Um, but for people like me who have that mindset, it still was tough because I did that Friday and then Saturday I was doing the strongman competition. So I pretty much that entire day was gone for me. I only got one interview, it was Matthew Porter, and I had to like break away from the strongman competition in order to interview Matthew before he got on the road. And the thing that Jake said is that this is actually I think it was based off feedback he got from vendors after year one. And it was like they said they wanted 2 days. But you said something to me yesterday that actually kind of made it make sense when you pointed out that in year one, Home Gym Con was really close to the Arnold. So everybody was beat down.
Yeah.
But now it's in the summer, and it's actually going to be later in the summer, even later in the summer this year than it was, next year than it was this year. So it's going to be in June, whereas it was in May this year. So you think that might make a difference?
I think so, because like the first year of Home Gym Con was the first year that I did the Arnold as well. And the Home Gym Con really piggybacked off of the Arnold. And by that point, because the thing is, like, people who've done the Arnold know it's you're living off of adrenaline and caffeine, like that's it. And you're just hoping that you're putting on a good enough show to where you're getting the brand out and you can talk to as many people as possible. But there's so many people that come through the Arnold, you can't get to them all. And you're exhausted by the time it's all over. And it, like we had talked yesterday, it took me a whole week to recover from that. So having the Home Gym Con right off of the backs of the Arnold, I was completely tapped out. I just couldn't go. And seeing,
I mean, it's
like
a
this
funding
year,
thing too, because I mean,
well, these things are expensive, like
yeah.
you're talking,
You
especially
pay
at the
for
Arnold. Oh, 100%. Like the Arnold, it would be nothing to spend $10,000-$20,000 for a small company like me, where some of the bigger companies are spending in the upwards of $150,000-$200,000.
And that's not counting the giveaways. You told me that horror story from about Rain.
Yeah, Rain. I was up next. I was posted up to Rain, right next to them, and they gave away, I think it was about 64,000 cans of total body fuel. And when, you got people lining out the door at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning at the Arnold, and they're just wired for sound at 9 a.m. off of all their energy drinks. Like it brings a different atmosphere. And, so it's a completely different monster, but it's also a completely different financial monster too, especially for the smaller companies where, if you're going to pick a couple trade shows, you got to be strategic. And it makes sense for me to go to the Arnold because it's 2 hours from where I live. So, but being strategic in booth setup and how much money I'm going to spend, how big of a booth, what do I want to get out of it, those types of things versus, now that the Home Gym Con is in the end of June, that gives, what is that, about 3.5 months to kind of get yourself amped back up and prepare. And it feels like, it's two true separate events, where instead of it's like, the first half of one game, and then you've got like 4 weeks, that's your halftime, and then you've got your second show almost back to back, where
that's even if you don't go to something like Ursa.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which that's a whole nother monster in and of itself, and then you've got 5-0 over in Europe, which is just a complete monster. But for the smaller companies, that's just something where, if I got to the point where it was I was an international phenomenon, so to speak, then maybe it would be worth it. But right now, like, I've got the Arnold and I've got Home Gym Con, and that feels pretty comfortable with where I should be right now.
So, all right. So now we know you're not firing up the Gulf Stream just yet. So
no.
Let's talk about, you mentioned something about the small, you said several times about small vendors. And, full disclosure, you're a school teacher. So Bear Steel is something that you do. It's not a hobby, but it's a second career, right? And we want to talk about the school thing a little bit later. But one thing that I know that Jake does is he gives the floor plan out to the vendors. And because you actually teach entrepreneurship and how to market yourself at trade shows to your students, how were you able to use that experience when you were picking out which spot you wanted so that you can stand out? Because, at the Arnold, I'm not bagging on the Arnold, but I enjoyed going when I was going. At the Arnold, you've got a bunch of people in basically bikinis all over the place handing out supplement. Every 3 steps, you get a supplement handed to you, and it's usually a pre-workout. And then you've got competitions going, and it's loud and noisy, and it's crowded. People may not even see your booth as they're walking by. If let's say somebody lifts something on the big stage, you turn and they're walking and looking that way at the big stage, and your booth's over here, they won't even see you when they walk by, right? So you've got to figure out like positioning so that you can stand out while not putting yourself in some corner where nobody will ever see you at all, right? With Home Gym Con, I think the person who had probably the best spot was Belt Fed, because you came down, you couldn't help see him. You come down the escalators and he's right there, right? And then people have to make a choice about whether to walk past him or not. But I think you had a good spot too, because if you were standing at the Fringe Sport booth, you could see your booth, especially since you were kind of standing out in the aisle, like I told you yesterday, like a teacher standing in front of his classroom. So talk about how you selected where your spot.
So this is something that we talked about yesterday. I studied the map, so I kind of see who's around me, and kind of try to figure out like where like what location is going to best suit me. especially with like given the competition, at the Arnold, excuse me, like the difference between the Arnold and home gym con, the Arnold, it's a plethora of it's a multitude of companies. So it's not just strength companies. It probably 75 to 80% of it is supplement companies. And then you've got really only a handful of weight equipment companies. Rogue obviously was a big sponsor, but you had Rep, you had Strength Co, myself, and Bells of Steel, I know, was there. You don't really have a whole lot of core weight equipment, home gym style companies there. It's more about supplements. And, to like what you had mentioned earlier, everybody's throwing you stuff and everybody's vying for attention. And so in many ways, I always use the term, it's like ducks in a pond. You throw bread in a pond and then all the ducks just swarm to that little bit of bread. They want free stuff. And the difference between like the Arnold, where you're just trying to get your name in front of people, you may not have as many opportunities to have those more intimate conversations, where the home gym con, that was one of the things, like one of the reasons why I was able to kind of stand out in front of the booth, was it was a little bit more of an intimate setting and atmosphere. And I was able to have those longer conversations with people, as opposed to, I would get people to come into my booth at the Arnold and they say, well, what do you got for me? And, it's
they're
like
walking to you with their hand out.
While pretty much
holding a bag full of other free stuff that they don't even necessarily want.
Right. And so it's a different strategic planning when you're looking at the two different conventions, where, the Arnold is more, at least for me, it's more of a marketing push, where I just want to get the brand name. I want people to see the logo. I want people to see, here's what we offer. The last 2 years I've gone, the people I'm close to have said, was it a success? And the most times I can tell if it's a success, I bring a slotted number of business cards, and based off of the number of business cards I've handed out, I can kind of gauge on whether or not, the booth was in the proper positioning. It was in the right map location. I was next to the right people, where I knew the traffic was going to go. And that was ultimately the most important thing. Where's the traffic flow? So, strategically, that's kind of how I've always looked at it. I did the same thing with the home gym con. Where's the traffic flow? Whether or not you get those booths, there's no guarantee either. So sometimes it's just a little bit of luck. My first year at the Arnold, I lucked out big time. Last year it was okay, but by the time I was all said and done, I thought, well, it may not have been the best booth location. Yeah. So, it's hard to predict,
But I mean, so I would say that if someone is a fan of fringe sport, or if they're a fan of Bells of Steel, they're likely to go from, if they'll visit one of them, they're likely to visit the other one too. Well, again, like I said, I had time to like kind of look at your setup a little bit, and I was like, you can't get to Bells of Steel from Fringe Sport without passing Sean. And I don't mean just passing where your booth was. I mean, you were literally in the aisle, and you're like, what, 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm not a small person.
Yeah, so you can't like people had to, so he set himself up so that you had to like make the decision to walk around him, but you're walking up and he's like making eye contact with you, like, hey, how you doing? So you have to like want to ignore Sean, like, no, I'm not interested in your products, if you wanted to walk around him. And it wasn't like obnoxious. I just noticed it because I'm a people watcher, right? I was like, oh, look where he's standing. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's a school teacher. They do that in school when you come out, first day of school, because you got students who are lost. And come and you're like, hey man, where you trying to get to or whatever. So you make you have to get in the habit of making contact with them. I want to hit this up because Carp said something. He said I'm one of the folks that want to spend time at his booth. He says we talked. I got to put my hands on some of his new updated items, but at his booth he just wanted to hang out more. He just ran out of time. I think that that's the thing that kind of stands out in year one because it wasn't as crowded. We had the ability to spend time just talking. The negative side of that is, and I didn't even think about that, but about this, you said it, but it kind of can give the impression that Home Gym Con is like what you call like a good old boys club.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you're not in the inner circle or whatever, and I promise you I'm not in that. But if you're not in the inner circle, it's like people can feel like they're gonna be on the outside looking in, right? And so I like the fact that you set up the way you did, and I like the fact that people had the opportunity to come to you. Because the other thing about where you set up is none of the other companies that were like right next to you are what I would consider a direct competitor. So you didn't have like, oh, well, okay, this handle attachment. Let me check out this one instead, right? Instead, it's like they got to walk past you to get to with this or that. But once they get to you, there's nothing that's going to draw their attention away from you to them.
Right.
That's what it looked like to me. So I was like, this dude is like, he's out here playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. So, or 3D chess from Star Wars or whatever, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's some of it I think comes down to a little bit of luck too, but it just, the nice thing about this year was getting a chance to finally meet a lot of the people, you connected with online, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, whatever, being able to actually meet those people and have those conversations, or people that have either seen the stuff online but never had a chance to actually see it in person. That was another thing that was really nice about the way Home Gym Con was set up, where I could actually walk people through kind of like the entire catalog of what we offered. And like I had my own power rack there, but I don't sell power racks right now. I just think the market's just a little bit too saturated for that. But pretty much is what I tell people. I sell everything but the power rack, and you can go pretty much anywhere and find a power rack. But I think I've got some pretty unique options that, others may not have. But, in my opinion, at least right now, the power rack is a power rack is a power rack. So, I'm not, I don't have anything yet, at least, that's so unique that would warrant me to bring one to market.
Right. Speaking of your products, you had a ton of them. Actually, let me pause for a second here. So Matt, I didn't say the ladies are in bikinis at the Arnold. I said people are in bikinis. And I'll let you take that how you want.
This is true. Yes, it was definitely not just ladies.
I'll let you take that how you want. Okay.
There were a few head turners, both good and bad.
Like, okay, if I took somebody, blindfolded them, and took them to a Star Wars convention or to the Arnold, and I just took the blindfold off, it would take them a minute to figure out where they were. Right? They wouldn't immediately know they're at the Arnold or at the Star Wars convention, and I'll just leave it at that. All right?
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
They're aliens at both things. Okay. Anyway, so but back to what I was saying is you had a ton of products at Home Gym Con. Were people able to buy stuff from you there? Were you offering discounts that day? How was that?
Yeah. So usually the way it works, anytime I'm going to a trade show, there'll be some type of a sale on the website. But then the products that I have, it's usually most of the products that I bring to the trade show will be offered for sale. Usually they're a little bit cheaper than they would be online, simply because there's no shipping costs. So because the thing is, like, lugging this equipment to and from is a workout in and of itself, and it takes a long time to set up a booth. Again, like looking at the Arnold, it took me 8 or 9 hours to get it all set up, So even at Home Gym Con, I had a little bit of help from Matt Pendergraph and Mark from Buffalo Bully. Even then, it took like 2.5 hours to do. So, trying to, like, once you get in the booth, trying to figure out the layouts, the next hardest part. So, that's a struggle. So I certainly would much rather sell it so that I don't have to bring it back.
Yeah.
So it's nice
Well,
to
how
be
did
able
the
to do
sales
that.
meet your expectations?
At the Arnold, for example, they what I wanted to get out of it in terms of sales, I hit. Home Gym Con was a real question mark. It was a brand new show for me, at least. Wasn't sure kind of how many people were going to show. Were there going to be people willing to buy? Because equipment's heavy. How many people are bringing trucks? It's not like it's not the best thing to fit a barbell on like a Nissan Sentra. So, but they certainly outperformed in terms of, I would probably say, double or triple the amount of, in terms of expectations, what I thought I was going to do. Made it definitely worthwhile. And, so when Jake sent out the new sign up for next year, I think I signed up first or second day. So, I was back in for sure. And I like the fact that it's going to be in Louisville.
So, like, one thing that I know that was suggested, some people did anyway, is they would buy stuff from the vendor online. Like, let's say it's a pre-order, and then they pick it up at Home Gym Con. Obviously depending on what it was. I mean, but there are people, like, Ashley took a pickup specifically so she could load it up with stuff, right?
Yeah.
There are people who rented U-Hauls specifically to get stuff from Home Gym Con. And that's actually not necessarily a bad idea financially, because if you add up the shipping cost of all of the individual things, it's less than, it's going to be more than the cost of just renting a U-Haul for that weekend.
Right.
Right. Especially in Louisville, you're like, okay, you can rent a U-Haul trailer, maybe pick it up Saturday morning or something and go get your stuff. And now you're out of there, return it wherever, you live when you get home. So is that something that you had people do, or was it pretty much just walk up traffic? As far as
it was more walk up traffic.
Okay.
But, seeing from the expectations from, like, going into next year, that might be something that I kind of look into. It's not a terrible idea either. It would just have to make sure that the customer shows up and picks it up.
Yeah, that's true too. But then the other part about it too is the flip side. I buy a barbell from you, but I can't put it in my suitcase to fly home with it or whatever.
Right.
And some people might be willing to pay full price. They're just like, I just wanted to be able to touch it and see if I liked it before I paid for it. So I'm glad you were able to get some sales. Did you speak with other vendors? I forgot to ask you this at the beginning. Did you speak with other vendors, like anybody who had been to Home Gym Con in year one, to figure out, like, or did you just talk to Jake, like, hey, what do I expect? Like, how did you shape your expectations going in? Because Matt hadn't been there. What's he called from Buffalo Bully? They hadn't been there either. So you guys were all kind of just like, let's see what this is.
The one person I had talked to specifically, if I recall, was Kim from Barbell Rescue.
Oh, okay.
I believe I had talked to Nate from Executive Fit a little bit about it as well. But that's the thing, like, my offerings in many ways are completely different to their offerings, and, events like that are completely subjective. So, the things that I'm looking to get out of it might be different from what they are, so, but it was one of the things that made me really decide was the legitimacy of, I guess, the competition, and it seemed like, going into the second year, it looked like it had the potential to actually be on the upward trend of, this has potential to be kind of the premier convention for the home gym user. Home gym users are not going away. If
Right.
COVID taught us anything, It's the fact that like you can't really go without your fitness. But then when you invest in your own fitness in a home gym or, or some variation of, like, it's a no-brainer. It's a 24-hour gym that you have and you travel 0 time,
Yeah, I mean, it's an option. You don't have to have the world on lockdown. What if it's
no,
who knows?
but I think that exposed the fact that like there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. I want to bring up one more thing, and this is I'm trying to remember like the stuff that Jake was saying, like his like vendors had told him, and this goes back to the 3-day thing, because you had vendors who didn't even stay Saturday. They were there Friday, and then you didn't see them on Saturday, right? And I guess it's they weren't getting traffic to their booths or whatever. But how do you think having that third? Do you even think it's a problem that some companies aren't going to be there the whole day, the whole weekend? Because one of the examples you gave me was, what if somebody can't get there until 3 p.m. and then you left at 2 or whatever? So go ahead and react to that for me.
I mean, I just seeing again, this is the experience of the Arnold, they keep you on lockdown, like you are not allowed to tear down your booth until the stroke of the hour of when it's closed. And, when you start breaking down early, and there's nothing wrong with, if it's like a half an hour to go, maybe you start putting some things in boxes, but you don't put you don't break the whole booth down before the show's over, because I just this is my personal feel. I just don't think that that's appropriate. And I get everyone has their own, if they think it was a bust, and they want to hightail it out of there, that's maybe their prerogative and they don't come back next year. But at least for my sake, it felt, because it's a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
One company starts to do it, then the other company starts to they see that, and then they start to break down, and then the other company breaks down, and then before you know it, you've got 50-60% that have fully broken down, and there's still like an hour and a half to go. And to like what Carpet said, well, what if it's 4:30 and you wanted to get to a booth? Maybe you were competing in a competition, or maybe you just got holed up somewhere else. You turn the corner and that company's ghost towned. They're gone, and you're like, didn't even get a chance to talk to them.
The whole reason I got this ticket is because I can't see these companies in person.
Right.
I want to see them in person. I mean, I definitely agree. I'm just trying to get your feedback as a vendor, because it's really easy for me as someone who, I mean, I have to take stuff with me, but I don't have to take as much stuff as you guys do, and I got a long ride home, but I'm not packing up stuff then to get home. Then I got to unpack it, so I'm against people who aren't walking the walk. Like, if you're not the one driving the car, I don't think you should be giving directions, especially if you're not even going to be in the car. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like for the person who's actually got to deal with it, like the man in the arena, to be the one that says, hey, this is a good idea. As someone who's an attendee, I can say, yeah, man, I wish it was 3 days, but you kind of got to look at the impact on you guys too, because if you guys don't come, there's no home gym con. It's
right.
I don't know, it's a festival or whatever. We're just sitting around talking about visualizing equipment. I don't know, and I'm not sure I'm there for that. You just got a nice little shout out from Carp. He said, you talking about your stuff. He said you make high end, smaller items too. It's pretty easy to get a pair of nice neural handles or magnetic pins home, and once you see them in person, you see the quality. That's the discoverability thing.
Right.
That is, I think, is a very big deal, because people can see your stuff on Instagram, and you guys need to go follow Bear Steel Equipment at Bear Steel Equipment on Instagram. You can check out the stuff that they have. You can also shop. I encourage you, shop bearsteelequipment.com. The link is in the description for this video. But I'm basically looking at a picture, it's the modern day equivalent of buying something out of the Sears catalog. Like, I don't know if that thing's going to fit me. And I mean, I've got a picture of us together somewhere here on my desktop. Like, the stuff that fits you is not necessarily going to fit me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost like a foot difference and more than that, of height difference. Torso length is different, all that, So it's like everything that there's not a one size fits all. As much as many companies like to make it, there's not one size fits all when it comes to home gym stuff. So I want us to have as many opportunities as possible to see stuff and try it out and, play with it. I told you that one of my big pet peeves is when companies have stuff there, but they don't want you to work out with it. Because I'm like, to me, and this goes back to reviews, you see people test equipment out and with like 135 pounds of, let's say, the bar. And it's like, okay, well, what does that tell me? Nothing. Because bars don't tell, I'm seriously, it's like, it doesn't tell me anything. So now if I'm picking it up and it's just an empty bar, I don't know anything about this thing, right? Bars don't start to misbehave, in my experience, till you hit about 500 pounds. So that means, I'm not just going to go walk. I'm not a dude that can just walk and pick up 500 pounds. That means you need to have, if you got a barbell, you got plates, I want you to have a deadlift jack there and expect me to figure out how to load it, or something. Like I said, you had a power rack, so I like that. I said, okay, so I could put stuff on here and actually use it and try it out. You know what I mean? That's just my thing. And that requires time, because everybody that's there is not going to have time. If you just compress it, we're not going to have time to try your stuff out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that, going back to like the differences in the setup between the Arnold and Home Gym Con, with the Arnold, with so many people coming through, you wanted people to get as many opportunities to experience the equipment. And I had a bench press setup and I had a deadlift setup. And one of the things that we did was we had a liability waiver. So if you want to come in and test the equipment, you sign the waiver, and then it's off to the races. I mean, we had a guy bench 495, and then I had another guy. These were two competitive strongmen. Another guy deadlift 700 pounds.
Right.
And to your point, you're testing the equipment, and so then the people gather around and it's like, geez, this guy's going to throw up 500 pounds, and the bar does what it says it's going to do, and people are like, that's pretty freaking impressive, and then they're like, this is great equipment. So that I had anticipated doing something like that at the Home Gym Con, but as it kind of went on, the atmosphere in the crowd, I could tell it wasn't conducive to that. It didn't seem like the people showing up to Home Gym Con weren't necessarily interested in that. I mean, they already were lifters anyways, but they also weren't taking in 1,200 milligrams of caffeine at 9 a.m.
Oh, geeked up at something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing at the Arnold, you got 75-80% of companies or supplement companies, and they were throwing pre-workout in your face. And
legitimately,
and so everybody's wired for sound at 9 a.m, and you've got a lot of testosterone and a lot of pre-workout, and it's like nobody has anything else to do, and so the vibe at the Arnold is much more intense than the vibe at Home Gym Con, where the Home Gym Con was more, I want to go talk to the owner. I want to go just have a conversation, like, hey, why did you do this? Or, I've got this at my gym, how is this going to help benefit me? Or, is this compatible with what I'm doing at my home? It's like these people, they weren't necessarily as interested in getting a lift in as they were having a conversation about perhaps, changing a product, the feedback, or just having, finally, nice to finally get a chance to meet you, thanks for the support, those types of things. It's a completely different atmosphere.
So The pushback I'll give you is, so Ashley, shout out to 332. Ashley Romiak tested the treadmill. I used it for a second. Basically, I was warming up. But she actually used it like, let me try this thing out. And she identified some issues with it that she wouldn't have seen if she hadn't actually used it. And this is at Home Gym Con at the Bells of Steel booth. So it's like we had people who were like, and what I'm saying is when I went around to the different booths, right? Because I had a deadlift on Friday morning and only one booth had a deadlift jack. So that meant I didn't even attempt to lift at any of the other booths because I'm not about to, my patience level allows me to manually load about 315. Well, I can deadlift more than that. So my patience level is like, okay, I'm not even going to mess with you because it's not even an option. Does that make sense? That being said, let's talk about another aspect of it, which is the product testing, right? From a market research standpoint, people being able to give you feedback. How much feedback were people able to give you about your products from having used it maybe at their homes?
Quite a bit. The people that had, there was a handful of customers that had showed up to Home Gym Con. So there were a few things that were discussed in terms of like, maybe future either additions or changes, things like that. But for the most part, I would say it was extremely supportive. Most people were like, love the product, love the quality, love the craftsmanship. So that was definitely, it's humbling to hear that, especially in person. And, makes you feel good that, you're on the right track to, trying to make a difference, but also, making things easier in your own home gym training. So it was definitely nice to have those experiences from the Home Gym Con.
Well, today was a success because you just got a new follower on Instagram. So that's my man Carlos. He's following you now. So now that you got him, go ahead and start posting a bunch of weird stuff before he catches on and he gets off of there. So a couple other things. I asked you what your feedback it was for Jake as a vendor. What were your biggest takeaways for yourself as a vendor, as you're like, okay, now, and I know you don't want to give away any secrets, but thinking about, okay, I'm going to Home Gym Con again. I know what the vibe is. We're going to have more space. It's going to be in Louisville, so it's going to be a little bit more accessible to you. So what are some things, what can you share with us about how this experience from this year is going to affect what people can expect from you when they go to Home Gym Con 2025?
So the first year going in, I was super conservative. I just wasn't quite sure what to expect. So I didn't want to go over the top and end up kind of screwing myself, so to speak. So kind of seeing how the vibe is and the layout. I've doubled the booth size, so I've got a 10x20 for next year. I'm going to have a full bench setup. I'm going to have a full deadlift setup and maybe a couple attachment points, some type of a cable pull down option so you can test out some of the other attachments. So how that looks yet, obviously there's still like a year and 2.5 weeks or something like that before the time comes, but so there's a lot of time to plan. But I have some big plans in mind and I can't quite I still got to finalize them, but there's going to be, I am anticipating perhaps some never before seen things. That's probably about as much as I can give away right now.
Well, you said over the top, so that means you're going to have arm wrestling. That's exactly what that means.
Well,
you said over the top. That means you're going to have arm wrestling.
It'll be people in
Sylvester
bikinis
Stallone's
arm
going to be at your booth.
That's what it'll be.
Sylvester Stallone, you heard it here first. He said over the top.
Yeah.
You're going to have Sylvester Stallone at his booth. They're going to be arm wrestling. Trucker hats are going to be on sale. Oh, yeah. That's why y'all come here, for breaking news, and that's what you just got. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bench. You're going to have a bench set up. That makes me think about your power bar and I plan on asking you this anyway, but now I'm really thinking of asking you because it's like you said you were on the fence about whether to continue having it. Are you still on the fence? Are you thinking about tweaking it? Like, or is that one of the things you can't tell me?
You talking about the
The
prototype
Iron
that I
Skull.
had?
You had, yeah,
The
you had one. It was, I don't think it was maybe it was the deadlift bar, but one of the bars you showed me. And if you guys want to see that video of the booth tour, Bear Steel Equipment, kind of get, if this is your first time, learning about Sean's company, I'll put the link to that video in the description for this one, so you guys can kind of check out, get a broad overview of all this products. But one of the bars you had, you're like, I'm not sure, I'm kind of seeing what the market wants.
that was the 29 millimeter. Yeah.
Okay,
So I had debuted a 29 millimeter prototype at the Arnold, and it was amazing. People love the knurling on it. They love the feel on it. And I brought that to Home Gym Con as well. And a lot of people, it was kind of the same response. So that, ironically enough, that bar is coming. So nice. I will be offering, you're the first one to know about it, actually.
Look at that. Let's go. So, I told you, Fred. You see, he didn't want to tell y'all, right? But I pried it out of him.
That's the official announcement. So that's probably coming. I had told people at the Arnold my goal was the summer. It got pushed back a little bit, so we're looking August, maybe September-ish. Once they get here, it's imported, but it's gonna reflect that prototype that I brought in. So it'll be at 200,000 psi, 1,500 pound load capacity. So it's going to be a pretty nice bar. Haven't finalized the name. What I might end up doing is repurposing the Iron Skull and repurposing that name into the 29 millimeter. And I just kind of feel like that kind of fits the brand, and it fits kind of where I'm trying to take things, because now I'll have a 29 millimeter power bar, which, kind of seems to be where the market is trending. It's more difficult to get, but, a true 29 millimeter power bar, a true deadlift bar, and a rackable curl bar. I feel like those are three things that I've really enjoyed having in the gym, and if you're kind of I enjoy powerlifting, but I'm not a power lifter, but I certainly like having a deadlift bar. That completely changed my confidence just in my own training when finally brought in an actual deadlift bar, and to see how the bar moved, especially like when you said you put on 500 pounds, you get a chance to really test to see how that bar reacts.
Especially a deadlift bar, because that's where the whip will catch you. I mean, if you were one of those grip and rip yankers, it might catch you like 405, but it's definitely going to catch you at 500 pounds.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So having a core lineup of barbells that I feel really good about, it's taken some time, and as a small vendor, these things are hard to do. To bring in bars, especially, you're talking a major investment. So it takes sometimes a little bit longer than I hope, but I feel good about this bar. It'll be black chromium with the hard chrome sleeves, just exactly it'll mirror the Steel Reaper deadlift bar that we have, and it keeps with the theme.
So when do you expect pre-orders for that to go live?
I got to get some new photos done.
Okay, July 1st. I mean, this is towards the end of the year. Will it be on time for Black Friday, or is it going to be more early next year?
Be here. My guess is that I anticipate it being here by middle to late August.
And will it be available overseas? I'm asking specifically because Matt Welch said, I need to get a new bar. I'm trying to make a sale for you right here, right? He said his bar is officially tested to 210 kilograms, but he's pulled 280 on it. So he's worrying about whether the bar is going to fail. So there you go. Looks like you may have a customer in the UK, who might be in the market for your wares. Here's what I'll tell you, Matt. You need to go to Bear Steel Equipment on Instagram. and then you need to go ahead and follow him there. Bam, there you go. And you'll be able to see all the updates. See, and then he'll let you know. And when you follow him, make sure you tell him that you follow him because I told you to go follow him. That way I can get some street cred, you know. Sean doesn't quite, but I'm just kidding, man. Sean's a good dude. Look, I got Johnny Lane who's coming up next, USPC president. But before we bring him on, we got a little bit more time. And so I want to hit up at least one more question. And I think this is very important because you are an entrepreneur and you teach entrepreneurship to kids. So what I want to know is what lessons are you taking from your home gym comment experience back to the students? Because you guys are going to DC. You said you guys might end up being #1 in the nation for this entrepreneurship class. So
we'll see. Yeah,
with that, because you know it's you're not just doing what you're doing. You're walking the walk, yeah, but you're also giving back, sharing your knowledge with our next generation of entrepreneurs. So go ahead and talk about that a little bit, and then we'll close.
The nice thing about, you know, being able to teach also, you know, the schedule allows me to be able to do, you know, to really pursue this this company in my own in my own business. But probably the most, one of the more rewarding things is, you know, from the education standpoint, we have an entrepreneurship class that is backed by nonprofit Junior Achievement, which has been around for, you know, well over 100 years. And so we partnered with our class with them. And so we've had a great year. This is the student-run company has done over $16,000 in sales in like 6 months. So there's a trade show booth, there's an expo, there's a live presentation, you know, it's very much, and they run it, you know, and I just give them advice and kind of walk them through. But the one thing that has been
let them
really
help you out with your trade show booths.
So funny enough, the three guys that I had at the Arnold were all fellow entrepreneurship Junior Achievement students of mine. And one of the things I tried to tell them too, like, you know, and I've told my other classes, you know, when you leave high school, you know, the work that you put in and the kind of person that you are will follow you, you know. And so the kids that I trusted the most, I was able to kind of extend an arm and say, hey, you know, if you're in Columbus, I'll pay you, come and help out. You know, you don't got to pay a dime. There's not, you know, no charge. And they seem to love it. And those are the kids that are much more entrepreneurial, business oriented. But, you know, like this year, for example, like we've had trade show booths and I can come back and tell them, like, here's some things that I've experienced that either went well or didn't go well. And they pay attention to that, you know, little things like, you know, they'll say to me like, Mr. Donaldson, what's your business card look like? You know, so I'll pull out my business card and I'll say, okay, here's how I designed it. Here's why I did this, you know, and I've taken stuff from them as well, you know, and that's kind of the cool thing where, you know, if I saw something that worked for them, I said, like, I'm stealing that. I'm going to take that, you know, and likewise, you know, I help them set up the website and everything else. So, you know, and this company that these kids are doing right now, they're actually going to take this private at, you know, once they're all done, they're actually going to run. And so I'll give them a shout out. It's a company called Flame Guard, and they sell home fire safety kits.
Nice.
Which is phenomenal.
On your post on LinkedIn where you're talking about that.
Yeah. Awesome, and you know, there was in our community, there was a death. There was a home fire that killed an entire family last year, last March. Two kids, two middle school kids, both parents. I mean, it was horrendous. And so when we came in, one of the big things that, you know, the over encompassing message of Junior Achievement was, what's a national or global problem? How can you localize the solution? Well, fires are a constant thing. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we had another fatal fire in our community. Wow. So, you know, like, it's a very real thing. But their website is flameguard.us. If you're interested,
I will put it in the description. Yeah, heck yeah, man.
But I mean, those kids have done a great job, and we leave for DC to compete at the national level. If we can come away on top, we'll be national champs. But I mean, there's a lot of good competition, so we'll have to see what happens.
Just the experience, though, man, is really cool. I want everybody to follow. Number one, support Bear Steel, because you see the kind of heart that Sean has. Support Bear Steel Equipment. Follow Bear Steel on Instagram. Subscribe to Morning Lifter on YouTube, because he's got all that stuff there. And if you're watching this in your business, reach out to Sean Donaldson on LinkedIn, because it's well worth it. You see the kind of person he is. Sean, I don't know if I missed anything or not, but I want I'll give you the last word. Go ahead and let everybody know, where do you want them? Do you have a newsletter or anything that you want them to sign up for? Go ahead and let them know anything that I may have missed.
Yeah, like the newsletter especially, you can go to bearsteelequipment.com to sign up for that. Probably the biggest thing about the newsletter is it's usually comes out almost every Friday. And you'll get all of the news first. If there's any sales that are going to happen, you're going to get that first. Everything else then on Instagram and all the socials come out afterwards. So, and sometimes too, there are flash sale deals that are only available to newsletter subscribers. So there are benefits for being involved in that, but you get all of the most up-to-date information through the newsletter first, and then everything else kind of falls in line. So that's probably the big thing. Give us a follow on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active. Probably the thing that's most appreciative is all the support. Like, it still blows my mind. And the amount of people that have supported the company to where it is now, I can't thank you enough. It's truly humbling.
Awesome. Well, man, I love the fact that you were here. I love the fact you're doing what you're doing. This is probably like our 5th interview, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, that's support, because you know how it goes making content. So I appreciate you coming here. Let's go ahead and let's say good morning to the Central Time Zone together. Appreciate you guys joining Sean and I. We've been up for an hour. That's fine. Just leading the country, no problem. But we appreciate you guys being here. And go ahead and follow my guy Sean at Bear Steel everywhere you can find him. Bear Steel Equipment. And Sean, man, thank you for being here, dude. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Go get those kids where they're supposed to be so you don't get in trouble.
We got camp ready to go.
All right, man. Later.
All right. I'll see you.
All right, man. Okay. So as I said, what's up to the Central Time Zone? Thank you guys for joining us. We already had some representatives from the Central Time Zone here in the chat. That's my guy, Eric Eccles. He's here. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told everybody in the Central Time Zone. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe. We got my guy, Johnny Lane, coming on in about 45 seconds. But before, so you got plenty of time to hit subscribe, help me out. And then if you are already a subscriber, click that join button in the bottom corner of this video so that you can support the channel. I only need 99 cents from you. And I'm asking you that because that way I work for you. I don't have to do any brand deals. I need 100% participation. Everybody who's a subscriber, we got just under 34,000 subscribers right now. I want all of you guys to become members because I want to work for you, not some company somewhere, overseas or whatever. All right, so help me out. And now let's go ahead and bring my guy on. This is our second and final guest of the day. Show your love, Johnny, the man himself, Johnny.
How you doing, John? Good to see you, man.
What's up, man? Hey, look, you can't be sounding like you're sleepy, okay? I know it's way too early, but you gotta be up.
I've been up for hours. I'm just not as loud as you. Is the problem?
That's
much more soft spoken.
That's true too. I was I saw you in the chat come on at like 6:20 or something like that. I said, not in the chat, but in the backstage. I said, hold on, does he know? I hope he remembers that he's not gonna be off for a while. But yeah, that worked out.
I actually wish I would have got on earlier, as we're both garage gym junkies, to catch some of that, because I had actually just found the home gym con or whatever that is you all were talking about, a week or so ago. I'm like, I got to go to that. Anyways,
dude, so first thing is your camera froze, but I can hear you. I can hear your dulcet tones. It's like it's blending really well with the birds. But your camera froze.
Am I still frozen? Sorry about that.
Yeah. But that being said, I will say that you guys have an opportunity because at Home Gym Con there was supposed to be a powerlifting meet, and it got canceled because the what do you call it? The federation, from what I understand, they pulled out. So USPC has an opportunity. It'll be in Louisville at the end of June, June 28th. Well, I think it's the 25th through the 28th or something like that. But it'll be the last weekend in June next year. And so there's an opportunity for you guys if you want to come in and run a powerlifting meet at Home Gym Con. It's definitely there. You guys can hit up Jake Jaworski. I'll give you his contact information if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done some things in the Kentucky International Convention Center before.
Okay.
Great facility, and obviously, I mean, it's a complex. I mean, it takes up a whole block of Louisville.
I think that's where it's going to be held.
I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to be held. So that'll definitely be that's an awesome opportunity. So let me ask you this though. It's sort of a tangent, but there he is. Hey,
I'm back. Well, John, what I did is I disconnected from the Wi-Fi. We're actually on vacation. This is the last day. I'm in the hills of Tennessee. Okay. So I was hoping the reception would be good enough for everything to work out. And maybe it will be.
You're above every tower, if you're where I think you are.
Yeah, probably.
So I don't want to forget this, and this is sort of a tangent, but this kind of speaks to the heart of your judging staff. I remember when the conflict in Ukraine started, one of your judges, and I don't remember his name, but he stepped down from the USPC because he volunteered to go to Ukraine to serve as a medical staff. Like I think he was like driving an ambulance or something like that. Do you have any word on like whether he's safe or not? You know, I mean, I don't need to give like locations or anything like that, but just is he doing okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was Michael Bennett.
Okay.
And he went over.
I remember now. Yeah.
He went over at the beginning of the conflict, and did some amazing things. He kind of reported back that he had helped move a bunch of children with cancer from one hospital that was close to a war zone area into a safe zone area. So doing God's work basically. And he was real successful. He's over there. I can't remember how long he was over there for. He's been back now for a long time. And that all went really, really well. It speaks to, I've got good people within the organization, and they got a big heart, and that was a lot for him. He's got three young boys, and took that time away to go, and live in danger to help other people.
100%. I mean, so every time I was watching like the news stories, I was like, there's somebody who I know who's over there. I mean, I knew some other people who had gone over, but they went over armed. All right. And he went over to, like I said, drive an ambulance. So he's in harm's way. So I'm glad he made it back safely, and looks like you put him right back to work. So I said as a tangent, but it also does speak to the heart of your officiating crew. What are some things that you look for in your officials? Because, I mean, you guys were the only powerlifting crew that's ever not just helped, but volunteered to help. I'm packing up you guys packed up all your stuff, and I'm packing up all my live stream stuff, and you guys volunteered to help me carry it to the car. You're like, well, I can't pack the car for you, but we can take it to the car. All right. So I was like, whoa. I said, either they really want to get out of here, or these are some good people, So what are some things you look for in your officiating crew?
Well, I mean, they need to be team players, and that kind of speaks to that. I believe that if what we do is hard work, everything we have is heavy. Everybody helps out. I really don't have a judge that doesn't, pick something up and move it from the trailer into the facility or vice versa. We all want to work together and strive to do a good job. So we don't have lazy judges, is what I like to say.
Nice. So we got pretty much everybody watching this is a home gym owner. I mean, there may be some people from the USPC watching on replay or whatever. But one thing that I know as home gym owners is we're not only, and you understand, we're not only introverted, but we also, sometimes you're like, look, I like being at home, or else I join a gym. So that can be an obstacle to going to a powerlifting meet to compete, because you're going to be there pretty much all day. You know, depending on how the meet is set up. There are a couple of different options, but most meet formats, you're going to be there all day. And it's kind of a hard sell to get them to leave the house to go hang out with a bunch of strangers for one day. Um, so, how do you guys make the USPC welcoming, especially to new lifters?
Um, well, several different ways. I think that the fact that we have that spoke on the staff, that engaging staff. I answer questions constantly. I say that's 90% of my job. I load and unload a trailer mostly, but I also answer a lot of questions. And we have a great influx of new lifters. But a lot of it is the atmosphere, and a lot of that kind of comes from the other lifters, the experienced lifters. And I say this quite often, is that power lifters are some of the most welcoming people you ever want to be around. Very few sports where you find somebody cheering you on you're trying to actively beat them at a total or dots or whatever the scoring format is. And that's the community is just amazing. But at the USPC, we welcome everybody. We don't get caught up in um, we'll gear and things like that. We don't get into specifics of that. We want specifics as far as fairness on the gear, and that it's not a competitive advantage. But I don't worry about somebody's logo as long as it's not profane and stuff like that. So we try to create an atmosphere that's welcoming to everybody, especially our new lifters, and that's helped facilitated by my staff and the lifters that are attending the meet as well.
So it's funny you bring that up because I was talking to Huck, our mutual friend David Huckleby, and I got to tell you, I don't know if you know this, but when Huck was talking to me about first live streaming stuff for y'all, I was a little bit burnt out on doing stuff for powerlifting federations, and he said, "Well, all I can tell you about Johnny is he's one of the few people I would fight to the death for." So I don't know where y'all hang out. I don't know where y'all hang out, but that was on the strength of that is why I said, yeah, I'm gonna reach out to you and let's get this going, right? So that being said, so David said he isn't an official in the USPC, and he said that one of the questions he gets most often when he runs a USPC meet is, "Do you guys really check my underwear?" And he said he had a woman stripped down like in public, and like they had to be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, go back there. There's a woman who will check you or whatever." So what are some other weird stories from meets that you can share? PG rated stories that you can share from meets. I gotta say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not all powerlifters are, we'll call them exhibitionists in that sense, but they, I have had a few people that just stand in line will already start shucking off clothes. But yeah, the underwear thing is pretty common. I'll get people whip out underwear, and we're not interested in seeing that. That's such a, I mean, to argue for the fact that a pair of spandex boxer briefs might add any sort of weight into a squat or something like that is just ridiculous. And that's part of what we did with our rule book and our gear list and stuff. Is one, we don't have one, but we wanted everything to kind of make sense. It needs to meet specs, but we're not going to get caught up in trivial little things that actually don't affect the lifts or the lifter safety. And but yeah, there was to this day. I mean, it was the last meet I was at, and I had somebody pull out their tidy whities and show them, just laid them right on the table.
Nice.
And thank the
better
Lord
than
they
them
were
pulling
clean.
their pants down and showing you their sweat tidy whities.
At least it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, that's been offered, but we try not to talk about that.
You're like, man, look, that's really, this is not going to affect your placing.
I don't need to see that. Yeah, not interested.
So you mentioned that you guys don't have an approved gear list. I had Jason Mike. He makes what I consider to be the best wrist wraps on earth. And one of the things I noticed that guys have when they go to a meet, especially if it's their first meet, they won't have something. Either that or the thing they're bringing is outside the specs for the federation, right? So maybe their belt is too wide. I think that's a common one. The belt that they're using, maybe it's too wide or something like that. Question I have is, what if a vendor wants to sell that kind of stuff at your meet? They're like, hey, this is stuff, it fits your guidelines. Can I sell it at your meet? Because I've never actually asked you that, but is it possible to do that?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I
What would be
actually,
the process? Did they have to just reach out to you, or what would they need to do?
yeah, and it depends on the meet director. Most of the time, I don't even charge for vendors to be there. I think
Oh,
it's
nice.
a service to the lifter, and I want people who are there to support the lifters and support powerlifting in general. So I want to make that entry as easy as possible. But it's a service that I think the lifters would value, and I used to do it myself when I was with a different federation
Yeah.
because we did have an approved equipment list, and I had a whole bunch of equipment that was approved. A lot of people showed up with stuff that wasn't on that list, and I, had it to be able to sell it. So it was a much needed service at that time. I don't do that now because most of our equipment, in most cases, it does meet the specs. Pretty rarely do you find knee wraps over 3 meters and wrist wraps over a meter. I mean, it's possible, but it's pretty rare. But we don't get caught up in the brand names. That's honestly more of a way of fleecing money out of vendors, and we're not doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll hit Jason up and just let him know. That being said, the USPC is a newer federation, so it doesn't necessarily have the name recognition that some of the other federations have. So go ahead and talk about some of the things that make USPC different.
Well, there's several federations that have monolift powerlifting. We of course do that, but I mentioned it earlier that one of the things we don't get involved in, and we even have we print shirts like this that no politics and no drama, just lifting.
Yeah.
I've had people compete on my platform in singlets that have a logo of a different federation than my own. I don't care about stuff like that. And I believe that if you're really going to be for the lifters and supporting everybody, you kind of welcome everybody. You want to try us out. I don't expect you to buy whatever name brand equipment's on a list somewhere that somebody paid me to be on. I'm not going to make you buy a new singlet or turn it inside out because it has another federation's logo on it, again, as long as it's not nothing profane or anything like that. But we also kind of took the powerlifting rule book, and did something that I always wanted to do. I've been around in the sport since the 90s. And we ran everything through the filter of, is this a rule for lifter safety, or does it create a competitive advantage for a lifter? And if it didn't meet that criteria, then we got rid of it. So there were a lot of rules in powerlifting, and powerlifting rule books in general kind of read like tax code. It's pretty terrible. So we really thinned that down because it will surprise some people. I get a lot of questions like, well, this isn't said and that's not said. Well, if it's not said in the rule book, then it's no rule against it. Because there were a lot of things.
That means it's legal.
Yeah, there were a lot of things. But we've created this culture for so long of like, well, if KT tape isn't specifically listed, well, you can wear KT tape, because you and I both know, what is KT tape doing for you? Really, are you getting an ounce of help out of that? It ain't doing it. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not going to get into the debate of whether it actually helps your muscles, but it's not helping your lifts. And gives you no competitive advantage. So we wrote a rule book that's especially good for new lifters. It kind of walks you through the weigh-in process, all the things you're going to go through on meet day. And I just always encourage people to read that rule book. We spent a lot of time, a lot of effort to put together something that's beneficial to the lifters, helps you succeed. And we did the same thing with the commands. We eliminated some commands that were really not needed.
Squat command.
Yeah, no squat command. I mean, that's, not necessary. Same thing. We got rid of the start command on the bench, which wasn't a thing for a long time ago. IPA and quite a few organizations way back when. They still don't have those things. So, yeah, just because it's been around for a while or some feds do it doesn't make it right. I think we've had a lot of success with that, and we've brought a lot of lifters over because of some of those changes.
What I see your question, Matt. I'm gonna make sure I get it. Matt is in the UK, and so I want to. He's on his. He's at work. He might be on his lunch break, so I want to make sure I get this question in before he has to go back to work. But before I forget, with the squat, you guys have a timer, right? So as long as the person starts their lift in time, they're
Right. They
good.
can get the bar out of the rack. As long as they get it within a minute out of
Okay.
the rack, then they're good.
Okay. So Matt's question, and I wasn't really ready. I wasn't prepared for this one. So he said in his last competition, he had an athlete tell him that he soiled himself in every deadlift event and competition that he had done. So Matt advised this guy to wear adult diapers, and he wants to know if you would permit adult. I swear, Matt. So he wants to know if you would permit them in that scenario.
I Matt, I
Oh
have
boy!
to say,
All right.
I've probably directed 300 meets. I've never run into that, but I don't doubt you. Um, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem. Actually, I would encourage that if that's a problem for this fella here. Uh, the carpet on the platform is not cheap, and
Yeah.
it's hard to get good help, and
Yeah.
that's a
Please
good way
wear
to run them
diapers.
off right there. So yeah, as soon as you do something bad like that on one of my
Oh,
spotters, they're not working the rest of the day. They're quitting on me.
oh yeah. Well, actually, so to be fair, there is a thing where women will wear the pad or whatever
Mhm.
to avoid, like when women basically when they're deadlifting, sometimes their bladder will release, and so they'll wear like the extra what you call it to absorb that if they think that's going to be an issue. So I can see that. I just don't want to be the one checking diapers. So
No, we're not going to check that. Yeah, I mean,
when you're
again,
checking your diapers,
when you look at something like that, if there's some padding down there, male or female, that's not a competitive advantage at all.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't care about that.
yeah. So the first time I covered a meet for you, you guys were pretty much, from what I could tell, you were pretty much East Coast. We went up to Richmond and did the meet for you, and then of course you're in North Carolina. But now it looks like you guys are all over the place. We had Doug Nostrand on, and Doug's got Pittsburgh and Ohio and places like that. So he stretched you guys out west a little bit, and you're also in. Heck, I saw this. You're in British Columbia, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
moving up there now. So talk about, first of all, how many states are you in here in the continental United States, and then also what's it been like trying to break into British Columbia, which has traditionally been IPF territory?
Well, yeah, we're in, I think, 16 or 18 states at this point. We've got some newer states coming on board. End of this month, I'll be in South Carolina. I used to run some meets in South Carolina years ago. I'm looking forward to getting back there. But and we've been pretty successful in California, especially Northern California. But we've been in Northern and Southern California, did regionals in both those areas. Um, but to the British Columbia thing, we've been wanting to get into Canada. Um, and actually, Jason McCoy, my national judges chairman, he's the one that took care of working that meet out with the gym. It's a great facility. I've never been there, but online you can check out and they have to submit a form that lays out how many square feet they have, all the equipment they have, all that kind of stuff. So they are predominantly an IPF location. So it will be a combo rack meet, so the lifters will have to walk out the squats, but it gets us into an area that we've never been into before. So yeah, that will be at in January 2025. I'm pretty excited to be able to pull that one off. I'm more than likely, if I go to that one, I'll probably drive to it. I don't fly real well.
Okay.
I drove to California to take the initial batch of equipment out there, which is about 40 hours one way. Actually, Bennett and I drove out there together and back, and yeah, so I've logged some serious windshield time to pull off some of these meets and expand into new areas. Driven down to Florida, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of again windshield time that takes with building and expanding, but it's all coming together well. I can't complain. We are a new federation, but we're getting a lot of lifters, a lot of host facilities. Actually, I have to turn down some because there's just not enough meet directors really to run all the meets that are being requested.
So we got a follow up. So first of all, Matt said he was genuinely he wasn't trolling today. You gotta watch that dude, man. But he said that was actually a genuine question. But he has another question, and that is let me pull it up here. He said in strongman, sumo deadlift isn't allowed because they see it as a separate lift. Um, like the Olympics separate split, jerk, and press. Do you think it would make sense to separate conventional and sumo? I've got my opinions about that, but you're the federation president, so I'll let you go ahead and answer that.
Oh boy, that's what a hot topic because well, you get a lot of
You
people
weren't
who
ready
are,
for that.
yeah, you get a lot of people, get a
I
lot of
warned
camps
you.
there.
I got a live chat. And people are going to ask questions.
You get people that are dug in on one side or the other. And the conventional is the only deadlift that counts, and then of course the sumo. It is legal in powerlifting. It does technically count. Honestly, I don't have a preference either way. I'm a conventional puller myself because I'm short and I have no flexibility. I can't do sumo, and I'm old. So as soon as I get my legs too wide, it hurts real bad. But I can see an argument for that. I doubt it would ever happen though, because it would. Our results already. We have a lot of everything's on Open Powerlifting. Great website. What Sean has done with that is amazing. But because I've wanted to talk about military and first responder records and para records, he said, man, you can go down the rabbit hole of diluting. It just gets to be too much. So I could see that being an argument against it. For me as a president of a federation, I want whatever the main ranking website, which is Open Powerlifting, what they recognize. I want to follow their guidelines, so my lifts show up there, and my lifters get recognition on that platform. And we start going down that direction, then they're not going to get recognized, and it'll kind of muddy the water. So, whichever camp you're in, conventional, sumo, or whatever, until something happened on a ranking basis, then it probably would never happen in powerlifting.
All right, so that was the official verdict, right? Now I'm going to tell you my unofficial opinion, which is number one. If you look at the sport of powerlifting, we don't separate reverse grip bench press from bench press. If you bench press and you're reverse grip bench pressing, what I mean by, for those who don't know, it's like your hands are like this, so your palms are up. Someone has to hand the bar, definitely has to hand the bar off for you. That would just be considered a bench press. It's not separated, even though you could technically make the argument it's a separate lift. Then going at the sport of strongman, in my opinion, there's a case to be made for separating deadlifts where someone's wearing a suit and not wearing a suit. But in strongman, if you wear a suit, fine. If you're not wearing a deadlift suit, fine. It's not separated. So it's just interesting to me what's separated in strongman and what's not. You can wear, so sumo's cheating, but you can wear straps and you can hitch. So I just look at it like it's just the rules of the sport are different. You figure out what the rules of the sport are, and then you learn the technique that works best for your dimensions, your limb lengths, your whatever, and go for it. Try to be as strong as possible. So that's my unofficial opinion about that. It wasn't that bad.
No.
It's well thought out,
Yeah. I don't know much about strongman, so that's a realm I'm just not that familiar with.
If they deadlift, so like I remember when Hafthor pulled 500 kilograms, he was wearing a deadlift suit, right? And you see a lot of strongman competitors doing deadlifting in suits all the time against people who are not wearing suits, and it's all one division. You would never do that in powerlifting.
Nah. Yeah, you'd be in a gear division.
Exactly. So now, from my standpoint, talking more specifically about the partnership that you guys have with us, it's trying to have meets that are entertaining. And for people who are watching this, who may never compete, the value is you have the meet on, especially while you're training. You got that meet on, and you can hear, like, you get some of the energy from the crowd. It's something on just in the background. And so my biggest focus is on having meets that are entertaining to watch. The problem is, though, if you make the meet super entertaining to watch, sometimes that affects the lifter. Because one thing about making the meet entertaining to watch is you speed it up. Well, you got to give this guy time. I mean, he just might have lifted like that. So his second attempt might have been a PR. Okay. Right. You got to give him time to, and you got to give him time to rest to see if he's going to go, maybe he's going to get another PR, but he just lifted more than he ever has in his entire life. You're like, you don't need to rest. We'll come back from commercial, make you go again. Like, seriously? No, you can't do that. So how do you strike that balance? And I know it's an ongoing conversation but we always talk about why isn't powerlifting on TV? Well, that's one of the reasons. It's because lifter safety isn't always conducive to what you would see, and in terms of like the time constraints of a television program. But how do you think that we strike that balance?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The pacing of the meet, which is really not much you can do with it. At least we do have a clock that forces the lifters to get to the platform within the 1 minute after the platform's called ready. But even then, the pacing can be a little slower, especially for a telecast. And we've all, maybe not all of us, but outside of the USPC, I've been to meets where it was like watching paint dry. Of course, we don't have meets like that, but we try to make it entertaining for the friends and family and that's in the audience, usually in my case with bad jokes. But we have with some lighting and nice pipe and drape setup or truss systems and things like that. A lot of the things that go into making it more of a stage and a performance type of setting as opposed to just a lift in the gym. But the pacing can be a bit of a thing, especially, as you've got a lot of lifters and you're running through, you're moving pretty well. Your spotter loaders are working hard and they're working fast. And then you get to a point where a lifter wants to take a fourth attempt, which can just slam the brakes on things. You want to give lifters opportunities to do that. But you can almost see it in the crowd. Like, okay, we're going to give this lifter 5 minutes to recover from their last lift. We don't want them to fall on themselves and be exhausted. And you can just almost, it kind of takes the winds out of the sails of everybody. But again, you got to give those opportunities to the lifters. But it is a balance, and it is
you
something.
Figure out what to do while they're resting, because you're like, meanwhile, Johnny's going to do a split.
Yeah, well, I send them to the vendors to buy stuff. Hey, take this opportunity with your card, have it out, go buy you something.
Heck yeah. I'll say this. Hey, what's up? 332 in the building. Shout out to Ashley. Why are you even on here? Ashley is so the reason I say this because Ashley's the cat's out of the bag now. I wasn't able to say it, but she's out at Force USA testing out stuff, and she told me she was going to be going out there. So I'm super proud of you. Have a good time out there. Keep on putting up those videos. I love it. Everybody check out Ashley the Amazing here on YouTube. She is she's going good stuff there. And we're going to have her come on to talk about things that she found out. So appreciate you checking in, Ash. Yeah, let's go with I have 2 comments from Kurt and from Matt, and I want to jump into those too. As well. But before we say that, what do you think about the idea of going the other direction? Because a lot of times the meet director, you have to have as many lifters as possible because that's how you're going to be able to pay for the meet. Right. But what about going the other direction? You have like an invite only meet. Maybe you go heavier on the sponsors and make it a money meet. Say, okay, look, we're only inviting like the top. Okay, I'm making this up right now, right? So let's say the top 5 lifters come out to this event, you know what I mean? And they just go head to head, something like that. Because that's going to be shorter. Maybe the top 2 bench pressers come and they compete. The top 2 squatters come out and they compete. So I guess it'd be 6. Top 2 deadlifters come out and they compete. You know what I mean? And now it's head to head stuff like that. So it's basically a bunch of single lift events, maybe 3 attempts each. And it's just faster. And maybe they win money for it. Because, if you don't pay them, they're not going to come to something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, because it's like, well, what if I get hurt? Then I can't go do this other thing, this other meet I really wanted to do. What do you think about stuff like that? Like invitationals. That's what the word I was trying to think of. I just had to stall long enough to think of it.
Well, we're actually in the middle of doing invitations for the pro meet in November, which you're covering, of course. But to kind of go backwards a little bit, a few years ago, we went to Baltimore at Exile and did, I think there were 3 bench pressers that competed, and the main focus was Johnny Harris, who was looking to break at the time Eric Spoto's raw record. And he actually pressed the weight, and but his butt came off the bench and it got turned down. Anyways, yeah, it was just 3 bench pressers. Johnny took an opener and a second attempt, did not take a third, and that was it. We were done, I don't know, within 45 minutes. So it was a really short day, and the gym paid for that because they wanted a world record attempt, and they covered the expense of me and my crew coming up there to judge the lift and sanction the event and all that. But and it was really, I would say, next to the para deadlift that's going around right now, the Jeff Maynard with lifting with straps. He has no arms. But Johnny's bench press was on ESPN Sports Center, and I've seen it make the rounds multiple times. It's an incredible press. Unfortunately, the video that's going around looks like he got the lift, and it technically was no lift. I love Johnny Harris, but the lift did not count. But yeah, so something like that, we got a lot of eyes on it. It was an incredible day, and when I say day, it was an hour. It was so it was good for everybody. Didn't work out for Johnny as he wanted to, but still a heck of an accomplishment to press 723, I think, is what he was trying to push there. And it was really something. But to go back to the Invitational, in November 23rd and 24th, we are doing the Shack Showdown Pro-Am. Saturday the 23rd will be the amateur day, and that's open to everybody. And we've really just started putting a focus on getting the invites out for the pro day. Now, it will be a bigger meet, but we've already had quite a few sign-ups, and that will have we got 20,000 guaranteed now. We're looking to push that to 30 or more.
20,000 in prize money?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're locked in at 20 now, but as we get entries, I'll be able to add to that pool, and like I say, with a goal of hitting 30 in total payout. And
that's going to be streamed here on our YouTube channel. We've got, I think, 3 meets scheduled with you guys this year, so that's going to be a good time. You guys make sure that you check it out. I'll put the link for it in the description of this video as well, so you guys can check it out. If you guys are just listening, just come to YouTube and you'll be able to see it here on the channel. Let's go back up a little bit. First, I'm going to go in reverse order because Matt said that when we're talking about how you have to give people rest, he said, so again, he's in the UK, so I don't know what federation it was, but he said his last powerlifting comp, he pulled 285 kilograms, and they gave him 30 seconds and called him back up for his third. Like that, there's no way, man. It was a powerlifting meet. There's no way. There's just no way. If you give me 30 seconds, I'm not saying I can't do it. What I'm saying is you're not going to get a max attempt from me. You're going to get what I can handle in 30 seconds. So that's not a max attempt. You know what I mean? So now you're not powerlifting. That's a different sport. So that's tough.
We're set up to do well. If you were the last deadlifter in the flight, and then you come back and you do another attempt, a fourth or what have you, then we give you 5 minutes. If you were the next to last, then we subtract a minute for each lifter that was in between you. So then you would get 4 minutes. So it's better than 30 seconds. I don't know that you're 100% recovered in 5 minutes, but it can't be 15 minutes. We can't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Kurt, just to clean this up. So Kurt competes in sumo. Kurt competes in strongman. He said he sees sumo not as cheating. He just sees it as it's a separate lift. Again, he competes in strongman. And then Matt says, to finish it up, says he doesn't have a problem with people lifting sumo, but there's always a debate in the strongman circle. So he said, well, let's just end the debate and say, okay, separate it, because now apparently they're separating suits and non-suited over there in the UK.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I could see the argument for both.
Yeah.
Both of which I'm not getting into.
Yeah. So I have a powerlifting meet checklist on my channel, but it focuses on federations where they use like combo racks and squat stands and things like that. Primarily things like, how to get your rack height. You guys use, as we just mentioned, you use combo racks, but you also have monoliths. So and a competition bench. So, what would be on your powerlifting meet checklist for a lifter coming to a USPC meet? Like they've never used a monolift before. Is there somebody to help them get their rack height, for example? They've never used a competition bench before. Is there somebody to help them get their rack height for that? Rack
Oh,
and safety height.
absolutely. Yeah, we have somebody stationed there that will take care of the rack heights, and we get a lot of lifters that are intimidated by the monolift. Although I will say that monolifts seem to be making it into commercial gyms more and more. Quite a few lifters are asking for the monolift when they see, because we'll have some meets where we just use a combo rack. They're pretty rare, but we occasionally have that. And we're very upfront. This meet will have a combo rack. Just prepare for that. I don't want to surprise somebody and them show up expecting to stand and go out of a monolift, and now all of a sudden they've got to walk their squat back. But
Yeah, yeah.
with the monolifts, the first question we always get is, "Can I walk it back?" And of course that's allowed. We don't have an issue with that whatsoever. We just ask that the lifters would tell us, so our spotters move with them. But some
Yeah.
lifters, as soon as those swing hooks go back, they drop like they've been shot. So we want to be braced and ready to go,
Right.
and help them in case there's some trouble. But so we'll walk back with them. That way we don't bump them. But you
Hey,
got it.
your video froze again. I can still hear you, but your
Sorry.
video.
Mountains of Tennessee.
Hey,
Yeah.
all right, man.
But if they're new to a monolift, they just kind of have to get over the monstrosity of it. It is, having run a whole lot of combo rack meets. I view the combo rack meets as a lazy man's way of running a meet at this point. It is a lot harder to run a monolift meet, but it's so much better. It's so much safer. And if they can just get over the sheer size of it, I think that it becomes very common. And all lifters seem to adapt to it pretty quickly. It's
Yeah.
just it's an odd looking thing if you're not used to it. The
So
comp
like,
bench, the same thing. We adjust it for them. We help them with the face savers, all that.
so like a competition bench was easier for me to adjust to. But I remember the first time I competed out of a monolift. I told my coach, I was like, "Hey man, make sure I step back far enough to make sure," because it didn't register to me that the arms go ahead of you. I'm thinking they go back this way, and I'm gonna back up, and they're gonna still be. I was like, "Am I gonna clear them?" I'm like, "I'm not even that tall. Like, why is that even like a question?" But I was just nervous. And he could figure that out once I asked him that. I never had anybody ask me that before. But I'll say this too. I was streaming one of your meets and I watched. So I sent this video to Spud Bartley because you guys use the Spud straps, right, as extra safeties, right?
Correct.
I remember this guy, he starts squatting and his quads just gave out and he just fell. And so the spotters went with him, but what caught it first was the Spud ink straps that you guys have attached. And that's one of the reasons why monolift is a safety feature, because it caught it. And so I sent the video to Spud. I said, "Hey man, here's some free advertising for you. You didn't even plan on this, right?" So like the next thing I know, he got it up on the Spud Instagram and all that. But I was just like, "Yeah, man, that's the best commercial I've ever seen for monolift. That happening right there." And I think he had like over 700 pounds. It was like 25 that dropped with him, and he was fine, because he was fine. I think what happened is he caught a cramp, and so the bar fell, so he just basically collapsed. Well, if he hadn't had those Spud straps, now he's not a cramp, now it's an injury. Because remember what happened to Brandon Lilly a few years ago? Like there was nothing to catch the weight except him, and so he ends up having surgery, quads tore off, and all that. And that pretty much ended his powerlifting career. So yeah, I got no problem with monoliths. Let's go through the check-in process for anybody who's watching who may be going to their first USPC meet. Just break down the check-in process, because you guys do day before weigh-in, 24-hour weigh-ins, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So and
Go ahead
actually,
and go through that process.
That's one of the things we did in our rule book, is we laid out the check-in process in order, really. So you don't have to kind of hunt for that information. It'll kind of walk you right through it. But our lifters would show up. We'll check you in with a photo ID and showing your membership to the USPC. We verify everything on the card, what state you're from. The records are based out of off of your home, your state of residence, and not where the meet is located. So that kind of information is important. That's where you can also make changes to, if you want to compete in another division, you want to change from raw to wraps or vice versa or what have you. So a lot of changes can happen at that point, and it's not an issue whatsoever because none of that data is input into the computer until that evening. But then we get you weighed in. Somewhere usually before the weigh-in, sometimes after. We'll check your gear. Just depends on how hangry everybody is. But once they get weighed in, then they can start eating and drinking immediately.
Yeah.
And then once we get the gear checked, then we move you on to getting your rack heights, and that concludes the weigh-in process. It can actually be pretty fast and efficient. I try to staff it with somebody at each station, so you're not waiting around. It doesn't take an hour to get through a weigh-in session. And lifters usually appreciate that a lot. I know I did competing, and those long weigh-ins, man, they take a long time. And when you're hungry, it's miserable. Even if you're munching on crackers, it's a hard existence.
Yeah, that's brutal. All right, so got another comment here from Matt, who says a friend of his squats out of a half rack with no safeties. That's that Olympic lifter garbage, man. I see him do the Olympic lifters. They're squatting like just, you only live once, let's go. I'm like, I mean, I get it. To me, there's a difference between squatting with no safeties and you can't make the lift because you just can't lift the weight. Now I'm healthy. Okay, yeah, I can pitch it back and drop it off me. What the problem is when I got hurt, something happened, I caught a cramp, and now I can't lift the weight because everything's shutting down, and that's just not having safeties is another variable. So here we said, my man tore his quad mid-squat with no spot, and so Matt says he refuses to squat there until he's got a rack of safeties. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. Just because you want to kill yourself doesn't mean I got to join you. This is a solo trip, So how can someone become a USPC member, sign up to compete in your federation if they like what they've heard from you today and they want to, check out more, they want to sign up to become a member of the federation, if they just want to come out and watch a meet, because you said you've got like 16 states now. So just go ahead and give them some details there.
Well, we're on internet, uspc.pl, also usplcole.com. That'll all send you to the same place. You'll land right at our calendar of events. You can click the contents tab there, and we break down meets by the state. We've got a staff sign up, judge information, links to YouTube and Instagram, Facebook. We live stream most every meet, not as professional as what you do. It is, but we at least get it out there where they can see it.
On the way.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's seen my live stream, I need help. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, we got the chopper gassed up. We're headed your way.
But all that's right there on the website, and our contact information as well. There's the phone number and the email, and we're very responsive to answer questions, help people out. Awesome.
Johnny, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your vacation and risking the wrath of your wife to come hang out with me a little bit. Just like we practiced, it's not my fault. Okay, when you talk to her, it's your fault completely, not mine. All right.
John, I moved outside too because there's 4 grandkids here that as soon as they saw me in some part of the house, they would attack me, and this would just have been a whole different interview.
That might make for an entertaining interview, man. It's all content, Johnny. I'm trying to teach you that. In fact, would you like to try to go for a split right now? Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
See everything.
We don't need to see that.
Well, man, I really do appreciate the opportunity that you've given me to come out and stream some stuff for you. I hope I will give you Jake's contact information, and I hope that you guys are able to work something out to be able to run the meet over at Home Gym Con, because I think that would be excellent. They had weightlifting last year. They had this past time they had weightlifting. They had the strongman competition, and Kurt, who's in the chat right now, actually ran the strongman competition. I would love to see powerlifting be there because that's just another opportunity. I said we're introverted, man. Like I said, you're a home gym owner. You understand. People get introverted. And so if they're going to be there anyway, this is their chance to do a meet. And maybe that's like the only meet they do all year. And I want people, if they do it, to be in an environment where it's no drama. No drama, just get in there, lift, and be done with it. You know what I mean? So, and then it's always cool to watch, you know, who doesn't like watching somebody squat sit over 800 pounds or something like that? You know, that's a good day, you know, or hit a PR themselves. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm definitely going to have you back, my man. And you have an awesome rest of your vacation and a wonderful day, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, all right, take it easy. All right, so that was my guy, Johnny Lane, and he is one of the coolest dudes I know. He is president of USPC, so you guys go ahead. I got all the links in the description for the video, so you guys can check him out. We are about 10 minutes from the top of the hour, where we're going to be giving a shout out to the Mountain Time Zone, but now we're going to move into the segments. I had to move stuff around so I could get my 2 interviews knocked out. I had a 3rd interview scheduled, and that person backed out. He reached out to me yesterday and let me know he couldn't make it, and I didn't want to just hit up somebody just last minute. So I just went ahead and I said, well, you're just gonna have to listen to me talk for the last hour of the show. But the good news is I got stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into news and other things. All right, first thing I got to say is actually a question. Well, no. First thing I got to say is I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. I need you guys to DM me your photos of yourself with your Garage Gym Life banners. If you have a Garage Gym Life banner in your home gym, I need you to DM a photo of it to Garage Gym Life on Instagram, because it will help me out with a project that I've got going on. So, and if I get enough of them, that will help out, because we're hoping to have a pretty big announcement next week. And so to facilitate that announcement, I need you guys to DM me your Garage Gym Life banner photos. So Coach Carp, that's you. Send me a picture of your Garage Gym Life banner. I don't care if it's got other banners in the picture. I mean, I'm part of the home gym community. I get that we've got multiple banners sometimes, but I need to see the Garage Gym Life banner in the photo. So Coach Carp, that's you. Ashley 332, Ashley the Amazing, that's you. Carlos, CBS True Consumer Reviews, that's you. You know, anybody, if you've got a Garage Gym Life banner, send me a Garage Gym Life banner. And if you sent me one and it's longer than 2 days ago, send me another one. All right. And it's got to be high resolution photo. Okay. High resolution photo. So that's the first thing. Now, second thing is, let's talk about a product that I'm a pretty big fan of, and that's the Flex Wedge. So you guys may or may not have seen the Flex Wedge video. I did it. So Jared, you got a Best Gym in Town picture. Okay, that's cool. I'm looking for specifically the Garage Gym Life banner. So kind of like, if it's got this logo right there, the one that's got the banner that has that logo. I guess I could just pull up an example photo. That'd be smart with it. But I'm looking for those banners, because like I said, we've got a little bit of a project going on. We're trying to, get as many of these, the banners that are out there in the wild. We're trying to get as many of them out there for this project as possible. So let me see if I can. I'm trying to pull one up here. So of course now I can't find it, but I know that they're out there. So, all right. So here we go. I'll just share this screen real quick, so you'll see what I'm talking about. This one happens to be somebody had come over to pick one up, and boom. Yeah, so you guys can see that. So something like this. All right, somebody, yeah, and you guys get to see me back when I had a goatee. All right, but I had somebody come over to pick up a banner. So something like that is fine. It doesn't have to be up on the wall. But I just want to see, if you guys have that. then go ahead and DM that photo to me. And again, I don't have to be in the picture, but just send me the banner if you got one. All right. Then let's go into the next thing. So back to the flex wedge. So I did the flex wedge review, and I think it's an awesome piece of gear. I recognize. Yes, Randy, that is you. That is you standing next to me. Yup, bearded is. Hey, it's good to hear from you too, man. I hadn't heard from you in a while. I hope the family's well. Everybody's doing well, man. Thanks for checking in, man. That's awesome. So Kurt, if you, I encourage you to do all of that. I encourage you to dress like a fairy and to buy. I encourage you, number one, to buy a banner. Number two, dress like a fairy. Yep, step two, and then send the photo. Yes, I fully support that plan. I think you should do it. But anyway, so I did the flex wedge review, and I think it's a great piece of gear. But the thing is, I'm comparing it to the adjustable calf raise slant blocks that I've used before. And those were like 40, 50 bucks, right? Well, those also, one of them broke under me, and that was exciting. Thank God I was only doing like calf raises, but still, like I literally felt the thing break. I was using my safety squat bar, so it was something like 285, 265, something like that. And the thing broke under me, right? So think about it, it's 265 on the bar plus my body weight, and at the time I was 200 pounds, right? So it's 465 pounds just suddenly crashing to the ground, right? That's not cool. And then I got another one that was a little bit more expensive, and that one is sturdy, but it doesn't have as many adjustment options, and it also is very slick. So if I get on it and I got to put chalk on the bottom of my feet. So if I get on there without chalking the slant block and the bottom of my feet, unless I'm wearing like really grippy shoes, I'll slide, which is also not cool when you've got weight on your back. So when I saw this thing and I realized that he set it up, Jay said that he set it up so that you can actually spend your health savings account money on it. I said, well, that's perfect. All you gotta do is wait till the end of the year when everybody ends up with extra money in their health savings account. So wait till the end of the year, catch it on sale, spend health savings account money on it. Boom, you're off to the races. You're good. And so people are commenting on the video though, and I mentioned that in the video. But people are commenting in the video that it costs too much money. And I'm like, okay. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you think $300 is too much as a price point? And even if it's on sale, let me see the flex wedge. Exponent edge, here you go. Yeah, let me pull it up. Let me look at how much it is right this very moment. So, okay, so it's $289 right now. Yeah. Is that too expensive for what it does? Keeping in mind, it's not just calf raises. It's not just knees over toes stuff. I've used it for like 4 or 5 different exercises. So is that too expensive? Go ahead, put it in the chat. Let me know if you think that's too expensive as a price point for the flex wedge, and then we can discuss that. I want to hear from y'all. Next question. This is all gonna be like Q&A time for news and other things. I thought about this. I don't remember seeing a lot of smart fitness brands at Home Gym Con. And what I mean by that is stuff like Tonal, Peloton, Echelon, which is they're actually based not that far away from me. They're right there in Chattanooga. Who bought? I think Lululemon bought the Mirror, but that family of stuff. Do you guys think that would be something that you'd like to see at Home Gym Con? Because again, that's home gym equipment. That may not be something that we use, but that doesn't mean that it's not home gym equipment, and it may not be something that somebody else might be interested in. So I remember when, what do you call those things? The Bowflex came out. The Bowflex, not the dumbbells, but the little Bowflex thing. It's kind of like the Power Tech Lever Gym, but it looks to me it looked like a bunch of wires and cables, right? That Bowflex thing. People say, "Oh yeah, I got rid of all my gym equipment. I just got a Bowflex." Okay, great, whatever. Or the Total Gym, To me, all that stuff has a place at Home Gym Con. Now, I don't know how popular it's gonna be, but I think it has a place there. So, what do you guys think about it? Would you like to see smart fitness brands at Home Gym Con? And if so, which ones would you like to see the most? Keeping in mind, some of these things are as expensive as a power rack, like the Peloton and stuff like that. That's a pretty sizable chunk of change, depending on how they go. And I mentioned Echelon, and they have actually, let me see if I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you. Did you just say Chuck Norris, man? Okay, let me tell you something. All right, ain't nobody scared of Chuck Norris. All right, I'm just gonna tell you right now. I mean, I like a good Chuck Norris joke. Now, don't get me wrong. Ain't nobody scared of Chuck Norris. Okay. All right, Walker, Texas Ranger. Ain't nobody scared of Chuck Norris. I'm just gonna tell you that right now, and I'll just leave it at that. Chuck Norris will get his life changed over here. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let me present this right here for some boom. All right, so these are the so this is the website I go to for press releases, and this is where I see all this stuff, right? And one of the things that I noticed, kind of crazy, because Echelon, as I said, is right up the road. They're in Chattanooga. I'm in Atlanta. So they're about, from my door to their door, you're looking at maybe 2 hours. Anyway, they're more like into like cardio stuff or whatever and smart fitness. And now they've acquired ThriveX. And I know if you're like me, you're saying, to quote Snoop Dogg, who? Apparently, ThriveX does cold tubs, hybrid saunas, compression boots, and other advanced recovery products. So again, you're starting to see more and more people care about recovery stuff. I would love to see saunas or something like that in cold tubs at Home Gym Con, for example. I'm a big fan of like the Hyperice stuff that I've used. The Normatec Go. I've got the Hyperice. It's like the one that gives you warmth and heat. I'm a huge fan of that thing, and I use it probably 4 or 5 days a week to just get some warmth to my knees. So that's kind of, to me, I'm interested to see where that goes, because for me, it's not just a matter of the smart fitness stuff just being available. It's also what they're doing to bring the price down without degrading the effectiveness and durability of whatever the gadget is. Like, don't give me a cheap smartwatch that breaks and I gotta buy 2 or 3 of them. You know what I mean? But if you have to buy 5 smartwatches in 1 year, you might as well just bought the expensive one. That's kind of how I look at it too. And it goes back to the thing I said about the Exponent Edge, the Flex Wedge. I've already purchased 3 of these things, right? I'd rather get one. Grant you that the one that I got was just given to me in exchange for my time and reviewing the video. But if I'm buying it, I still would rather buy once as opposed to have to buy 3 or 4 of them. That doesn't make any sense. And risking getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? Matthew Porter. This seems like a good time to do this right here. Matthew Porter is in the building. This is not a drill. But guess where Matthew Porter is going to be next week? That's right. He's going to be on your screen getting interviewed by me. That's what I'm talking about. So shout out to you, Matthew. Appreciate you joining again. You need to hit that rewind button so you can check out what Sean Donaldson had to say about his Home Gym Con experience, because it's kind of the kind of questions I'll be asking you next week to see like what your impressions were of the event. All right. I got one more news story that I thought was interesting. It's I don't know about this one. Let's scroll up here. Yeah, there we go. No, it's not the one that you were just looking at, Matt. It's this one. Do we need this? Like seriously, do we need this? All right, and it may be hold up. Say, what are you talking about, Matt? On my doorstep is nowhere near me. America's too big. You need to put it on a hot wash to shrink it. Okay. America is I don't know if you've heard this. Okay. I know y'all are kind of bitter about the fact that you lost this or whatever, but much like all the countries that are to the left of you or to the right as we're looking down at you on a map, America is on a continent. You may have heard the phrase the North American continent. It's a continent. So the country takes up the entire continent. Okay. So yes, it's big. Yes, it's big. Don't be jealous. Don't hate us. Don't hate us because you ain't us. All right? Relax. You gotta relax. All right, so what I'm talking about is, do we actually need this symbiotic? They're introducing a revolutionary nootropic creamer to enhance cognitive performance and boost your morning ritual. The reason why I'm saying I'm not sure we need this is because that's what caffeine's for. Caffeine's already does that. That's why people drink coffee. Caffeine does that. So if you're drinking coffee, it's in there already. So why do you need this revolutionary nootropic creamer? They put nootropics in the creamer to support cognitive function, boost mental clarity, and nourish your brain with every sip. It sounds to me like they're just pulling junk out your wallet. Because once again, coffee has caffeine. Caffeine already does that. And they're like, oh, well, this creamer is different. It's going to add something different to your morning cup of coffee, tea, smoothie, matcha, or whatever. All of those things have caffeine. I don't see why this is necessary. Sustain energy. Okay. And it says it replaces caffeine. What if it replaces caffeine? You're not drinking coffee anymore. Now you're drinking creamer. Even decaffeinated coffee has caffeine in it. I'm just confused. Am I missing something? Help me, because I don't understand. I don't understand why this is necessary. And I'm not trying to be like the old man on the porch, like, this newfangled gadget. I remember back when we rode a horse to work. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I am suspicious about stuff that's constantly trying to get you to put something extra in your body. You know what I mean? I just don't see that. Let's pause for a second. Shout out to the Mountain Time Zone. Thank you for joining us here on the Way Too Early for Friday morning show. Please hit that like, subscribe button for me. Help me reach 50,000 subscribers. And if you have already subscribed, go ahead, share this video. And then I'd like you to consider joining my channel to support the channel. I got over 33,000 subscribers, and I would love it if each one of you would make the decision to subscribe. Will make the decision to join and become members. It's only 99 cents a month. Literally, it's 99 cents a month. And my goal is to be funded 100% by my viewership instead of being funded by a combination of viewers, watch time, and brand deals. Because just since I started doing this, there's a tremendous pull. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But if I were funded by you guys, some of the decisions that I have to make wouldn't be necessary. Let's just say it like that. I've not done anything to compromise my integrity, but I will say that I would prefer to be in a situation where I'm proactively selecting products, because there are products that I don't get to review because I just don't have the budget for it. Okay, because some of the products I have to pay for myself. And so with you guys clicking that join button, if enough of you do it, I'll have the budget to be able to afford to review some of the stuff that I want to be able to review. And I'll be able to do more giveaways and more stuff like that. So I think, if you believe in what I'm doing, do me a favor. It's in the bottom right corner of this video on YouTube. So if you're watching on Facebook, head over to Garage Gym Life on YouTube. click that join button, support the channel, and help me do more stuff like this. See what the comments are. Yeah, all right. So Matt says his country has roads older than America. For your country, Independence Day was the most important of its history. For the UK, it was a Tuesday. I mean, I'm gonna say that y'all probably were a little bit, you're not quite as laissez-faire as you want to make it seem, because if y'all didn't care about us being independent, you wouldn't have tried to stop it. And then you wouldn't have tried to get us back. Like people trying to go get their old girlfriend back. Y'all try to get us back, Y'all showed up and said, no, we're sorry, we want you back, America. And we said, no, that was in 1812 when we whipped you and sent you home again. Anyway, but I digress. Why do you do this every live stream? You bring up old junk. Why are you always bringing up old stuff, Matt? Always bringing up old stuff. All right, now time for the random questions from threads, because this is the only thing that Matt's little tangents do. Makes me want to pull up a random question. So I'm on threads, and if you eat hard-boiled eggs, do you like the white or the yellow part? At first I liked the yellow, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm more into egg whites, so I probably eat the white first. Put a little bit of salt on it. So yeah, there you go. That's the random question from threads. Go ahead, let me know what's your verdict? Are you team yellow or team white? Put that in the comments. I mentioned it. I didn't mention anything. I don't know what you're talking about. There you go. Say you over there. Tell him, Carlos. He said Matt's acting like a Dallas Cowboys fan. Yeah. There you go. Completely ignore the facts. Arrogant for no reason at all. Anyway, just to argue. Hold on a second. He said just to argue he's choosing yellow. Is that don't I lie? It wants me to not lie. You got me in 4K. When did I bring it up? When did I bring it up? I don't remember. You can't tell me I remember. How you gonna make me remember something? You can't make me remember something I don't remember. What are you talking about? So I just showed you that. Now let's talk about. I'm still trying to get from you guys. Number one question I want to know. This is actually fairly important. Do you guys think that $300 is too much for the flex wedge? Given the fact that you can use your health savings account funds to pay for it, and the fact that you can catch it on sale, would you guys rather buy? Let me see. What is an adjustable squat thing? Let's look on Amazon. Adjustable calf raise block. Adjustable calf raise. All right, so an adjustable calf raise block. So, all right, a non-adjustable calf raise block is, let's see something here. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, share. All right, so this is not adjustable. All right, $59, $72, not adjustable. So this wooden adjustable incline board, that's $35.99, but that's a limited time deal. Normally it's $60 plus shipping. But here's the thing, it's wood. If I'm not the one building it, I don't want a wood product. If I build it and I can vouch for the wood and the sturdiness of it, yeah. But if I'm not the one building it, I'm not about to buy a wooden product from Amazon. I'm just sorry. So let's just, okay, so all these, all right. Or you get like all these different versions of it where you get multiples. So this one right here, this is two 2-inch blocks, okay. But what if I wanted a different size? Then I have to buy some more for another $30. So yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. All right, there we go. So this is $44.99 plus tax or whatever. This is a plastic one. Come on, man. I am not about to do any sort of weight with this plastic. I know it says Strong Tech. I don't believe you. Strong Tech, plastic. Nah. Just not, nah. Not gonna do it. So here's the question. So Carlos says he's neutral, salt and pepper, and eat both at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I don't like separating my eggs. I'll just eat the whole thing. But if I had to separate it, I don't know anybody that separates the egg and eats the yolk and not the white. I know people that eat the white and not the yolk. That doesn't make any sense. Matt says, no way I'm trusting plastic wedges. I like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, man. You can miss me with that. Y'all see, Matt won't let this go, right? So America can't fight alone. You're making me do this again. Remember when y'all fought alone in World War II and World War I? And remember we had to come help you? Okay. I'm just gonna stop there. Also, just a side note, I for some reason, got a home gym channel, right? But for some reason, I keep getting offers to review paper towel holders. They're like, hey, we'll give you a choice of 2 different models. Why do I need to review a paper towel holder? And how does that match with home gym stuff at all? I don't even understand that. Again, who thought I was a good fit for this? Why are you sending me this stuff? All right, we have a true nutrition expert right here, Randy Olson. Randy says he has several relatives that eat the yolk and not the white. Why? Why? Explain their habits, Randy. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you would eat the yolk of an egg. You boil the egg, open it up, eat the yolk, and throw away the white. I don't get that. So I'm going to need more information. Yes, I did get Matt says I offered to review a hair care product. Yes. Like, I don't know why I keep getting this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not a good fit for this. Why do you keep sending me this stuff? I don't use a paper towel holder in my home gym. It's like, and there was 2 different options. One is like, well, you can pull it off with just pull the paper towels with just one hand with this one, or this one is compact and easy to start. I'm like, why are you reaching out to me? I'm not saying it's a bad thing to review. I'm just saying, why are you sending it to me? That don't make any sense. Randy, I'm still waiting for your answer. Explain why your relatives eat the yolk of the egg and not the white part. That is, I'm still confused about that. And also, while we got all that going on, I'm going to show you guys the video that I tried to show you last week, where it was talking about the rest pause thing. In fact, I'll just go ahead and I'll show you that right now.
Yeah, it was just it was just James. It was just James with the same heart and throw. Yeah. Now you were seeing him next to some better. You're seeing him next to Mariota. Yeah. What are you seeing right now? Seeing him go like that and passing the thing right there to the camera. No, if I believe his hand, it's like I'm talking about a rifle, and it looked like he. Because you know what? When guys are strong like this, they want to showcase it. And like one thing we had to kind of tame Jason Campbell down with every throw. Like the only reason I got that pick off you because it hit the wide receiver hand, bounced out there. But I'm seeing him like some balls to the cut. I'm seeing him laser some balls out there to the running back. It's just the effort in the throw that I'm impressed with. It's pretty, as you were talking about. That's the Austin Jones when he went out and grabbed it. Austin Jones, number 46. He might have played at USC. I think he's very interesting. So running back is also very interesting.
As a general rule, I don't like training to failure when I'm chasing a specific number in a lift, because that trains you to not make lifts. So if you're going for just muscle growth, training to failure is fine. If you're trying to hit numbers, you wanna make your lifts. But in this case, I injured my finger, and the plan was to go 301 pounds for a triple, and I couldn't quite get that last rep. So no problem, set the bar down and got up, came around, picked the bar up, put it back into the monolift arms. You see I still got my wrist wraps on, and go ahead, get that last rest. That's last rep, make it like rest pause. there we go. I think the bench kind of shifted a little bit, so I hit the monolift arm on the way up. But the point is, I still got it. So what I did was turn a triple into a double and an extra single. Still got work in. There you go.
All right, so I hope that made sense. I tried to just explain it last week, but it was like the most garbled thing ever. I was like, man, what are you talking about? I got all the facts of the case wrong, so I hope that made sense. Yeah, those are the Crandall Fitness monolift arms. I did if you're interested, I'll put the link to those in the here in the chat or in the video description. The Crandall Fitness arms are I've used a couple other types of brands of monolift arms, and I really like the Crandall Fitness ones. Only thing I don't like about them is that they're set up for only 5/8 holes. So I had to get adapters from F&F Steel in order to make them work because my rack has 1-inch holes. But aside from that, I think they work great. They move smoothly. They're not like some monolift arms are very heavy, which makes them just a pain to set up. These are not super heavy, but they're sturdy enough for me to use them and feel comfortable as I'm using them. So the Crandall Fitness monolift arms are, to me, they're a legit piece of gear. And like I was saying in the video though, this is just a tip to help you guys out. I mean, everybody's got their own way of training. I don't like to train to failure. Well, I don't mind training to failure if I'm doing something that's like assistance work. So like more, if I'm doing curls or something, I might train to failure. But I'm not going to do something that's a competition lift to failure because, at least not on a regular basis, because I don't like to train myself to not succeed. So I don't do that. But if for some reason something happens, like, I injured my finger, you guys can kind of see it right here. See how puffy my ring finger is. I'm still not wearing my wedding ring. It's on mine. I had to put it on my neck, my dog tag right here until the swelling goes down. And look at the difference between this finger and that one, right? So this won't, I can't even, kind of like swollen right here. So when I did that video, I couldn't even grab. So see right there, it's kind of hard for me now. I don't know if you guys can see. This is as far as I can close my fist. So it's difficult for me to grab a bar with the same strength level. And so if you can't grab the bar, that's going to take away from your strength on the bench press. Anyway, so I lost a rep. Now I could have just cried about it. I could have been like, oh, I don't want to do it, whatever. Or I could have just said, okay, well, I just didn't get that extra rep. But by doing it rest pause, I still got the extra, like the volume of the number, the time, not the time under tension, but the number of times with that weight. And so your body still can gain from that. You still gain strength from it. It's not a way to put on muscle, but it does still train your nervous system to perform when that weight is presented to you. So I still like doing it. If I have to, I don't train to failure if I can avoid it. So that is the difference. All right. Now, this is the part y'all been waiting for. I know it is. Let's go ahead and do it. Why am I mad?
It's the recliner of rage.
It's the recliner of rage, 'cause he's not happy.
This, like so many recliner of rage segments, this is a tale of betrayal. You trusted something to do what you bought, like you looked on the website, it said a thing does a thing. You trusted these people. You bought the thing. And then as soon as the warranty period expires, the thing stops doing the thing that they told you the thing would do. In this situation, my dang on the air sign has stopped working. Right? So why is it in my hand right now? This thing is supposed to be outside the door of this room, hanging up in the hallway so my family knows, because the show starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and my daughter doesn't get up till 6:30. Okay, so they wake up, I'm already doing the show. This is supposed to remind them and anyone who is visiting as a guest to be quiet because I'm broadcasting. It also lets them know not to come in this room, because before I had the sign, people would come to the door. I mean, it's not like I get a whole ton of people coming through here, but I mean, we got four boys. They're all grown. They have their own houses and all that. But I'm just saying, like, they'll come over to visit, and they'll spend the night or something like that, because maybe they're staying and it's too late to get home. They spend the night, wake up, see the light on in here, and they'll come in this. No, so we had to put a stop to that. So I got on the air sign. The thing stopped working. Look at that. Do you see it on? I'm turning it on right now. Ain't nothing happening. It's supposed to be glowing right now. These are new. And hold up. Now I just dropped the battery. Hold up. And these are fresh batteries. Okay. I got fresh batteries. These are brand new batteries. I just got them out of the pack, and put them into this device. And yet it ain't working. And now the battery doesn't even want to go with Swift. Okay. And now the battery doesn't even want to look at it. The batteries are brand new. Yes, they're pointed the right way, because I know one of y'all is going to say I got the batteries in wrong. They're in correctly. They're not. They're in the correct way. Okay. They're in the correct way, and yet my sign ain't glowing. So my family is trained to understand that when the sign is glowing, especially because I may be on, I knew it was going to be you. I may be on at a time that's not 6 in the morning. There are times when I record interviews at other times, and for whatever reason, maybe I'm doing a meeting or something, and they need to know, hey, I'm broadcasting, I'm recording right now. I don't need any background noise. So don't come in as long as they don't come in the room, we're fine. If they come in though, my mic is going to pick it up. So I don't need them coming in. And this device that's supposed to be glowing right now, because I turned the thing on, is not glowing. Do you see it glowing? Do you see it glowing? That ain't glowing, right? All you see is a reflection. It ain't glowing. It's supposed to be glowing. Dark damn hallway, and it's supposed to be glowing. So they just walk right past it. No idea the sign's even up there. And why is this bothering me so much? Because this is the last straw. This is the last straw today, okay? FedEx already made me mad, because let's move on to FedEx as a matter of fact. I told you, honorable mention to FedEx. Yesterday, my wife is in her office, mind her own business, trying to get work done. She hears, hears stuff crashing outside the door. Like, what the heck is that? So she goes to the door. And what does she see? The freaking FedEx truck speeding out of our driveway in reverse. Why? Because they did this junk.
FedEx strikes again.
Look at that hole. Look at that hole. And I can't even tell you, what you can't see is
FedEx
there's a raggedy taping job. So that means these boxes came apart earlier, because they delivered, there's supposed to be 5 boxes. They delivered 3 of the 5 boxes yesterday, and I guess they spent some time taping the box back up with what looks to me suspiciously like cling wrap and that clear, cheap plastic tape that you get at like Party City. Taped it up like right there, and then still had the audacity to fling my boxes out of the truck, and that's how we ended up with
FedEx strikes again.
This right here, that hole right there. Explain yourself. Now, the reality is, you could say, I've had somebody already say, well, the brand needs to ship it on a pallet. So brands don't ship on pallets because they're trying to save money on shipping costs. which is fine by me because if the shipping cost goes up, guess who they're going to pass that cost on to? That's right, the customer. So if shipping goes up for the brand, shipping is going to go up for you guys and me. So I'm like, you know what? That's a good question. Did he just like put him at the edge and then just drive off real fast so that they can fall out? I mean, literally. So the way to avoid that is you pack all your stuff on a pallet, but then that's going to increase the shipping cost because FedEx, UPS, even the Postal Service, Laser Ship, whoever else you can think of, they like to break packages up and put them on their truck in a way that conserves as much fuel for them as possible. So if they're able to break up your packages, if you got 5 packages and they can ship 3 one day and 2 the next, and it saves them fuel, then they're not going to charge you as much for shipping costs. Okay, great. But then that means you need to take care of the package because you just said that they can't, you don't want them to pack it as security. Otherwise, they got to put it on a pallet, which is that means you can't separate it. So the shipping cost just went up. I don't understand. So that happened yesterday, and now this ain't working. And now, Matt, you're telling me to check the inside to see if the connections have green on them. Matt, you want me to get mad right now? You see, I'm already irritated. Now I got to take this apart. Matt wants me to get toothbrushes and other junk to fix my connections. Now, I'll tell you this, because I want you to know I'm an open-minded dude. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take this box apart. I'm not doing it right now. You're not about to see me get that. Look what I got right here. See here. Okay. No, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to use a flathead screwdriver or a knife. So let's put the Phillips head back in the drawer. Anyway, I'm going to try that. If it works, I'll let you know, Matt. Shout out to you. But also, I'll still be mad. Use somebody else's toothbrush. Okay. I have extra toothbrushes, Matt. We're not having a toothbrush shortage over here. I'll just get a toothbrush and I'll clean it up. But I'm saying I shouldn't have to do that. This thing's not even that old. It's not like I live by the ocean. I don't understand why there should be corrosion. It's inside my house. Nothing else has corrosion on it. That lamp over there doesn't have corrosion on it. The lamp's older than this. How come this got corrosion and the lamp doesn't? They're in the same room? Explain that. Explain that to me. Every time I try to be a calm and serene person, something happens to interrupt my dang vibe and make me like this. They make me this way. My wife is always like, are you sure you'll be able to do like some of these segments all the time of this recliner of rage and all that? I said, you don't understand. They write themselves because they're always doing something. In fact, this morning we were in the kitchen and she was about to go into the recliner of rage because she was mad at a gadget. And I said, there you go. You understand where I'm at now. You understand where I live. Because she's always like, why are you so mad about this? The reality is, though, I get mad about stuff that happens inside the house. She is in the driver's seat of rage because she gets mad. I mean, like, essentially, once she drives the car out of our driveway, she's already pre-mad about something. I'm like, well, we're the only car on the road. How can you already be angry? All right. She goes ballistic with the road rage. Oh, yeah, what you looking at? I'm like, he's in his own car. He's looking at something over there. He's not even looking over here. She's mad. So she's in the driver's seat of rage. But I get in the recliner of rage because to me, I'm mentally prepared when I leave the house for stuff to go wrong outside the house. I'm not home. So, everybody says, yeah, okay, I don't know what, I'm trying to prepare myself to face whatever I find, whatever I got to deal with whenever I leave the house, right? That's a common phrase. So I'm okay with, I don't wish it wouldn't happen, but if I go somewhere and something's going wrong, I'm like, man, the heck with this. Worst case scenario, man, I'm just going home. I'm done with this. I'm going home. But when it happens at your house, where are you supposed to go? The things in my house are supposed to make life. This is supposed to be my area of peace, my area of serenity. This is where I'm supposed to be able to retreat as I deal with the BS outside. I come home, I'm in my safe place. I can be comfortable and relax, but not when the open air sign ain't working. What, Matt? Batteries have acid that can leak. You see it a lot on watches when people leave a flat battery in it. The battery leaks and corrodes it inside. I understand, Matt. I'm not dunking on you. I do understand how the corrosion happens. My point is, it's inside the house. It's not a watch battery. It's a regular AA battery. I got all kind of stuff in here with AA batteries that never leaves the house, and they don't have corrosion on them. This doesn't leave the house. So why, if it does have corrosion, and I'm not saying that it doesn't, if this does have corrosion and it's never left the house, why does it have corrosion on it? Nothing else has corrosion on it. For example, por ejemplo, as the Spanish would say. The batteries in my remote control don't have corrosion on them. They're working just fine. All my remotes are working great. I use them all the time. So I'm holding this to the same standard as my television remote control. And hold up. This mouse actually doesn't leave the house. It's got a battery in it. It doesn't have corrosion on it. It's working just fine. Look, come here. Look at that. See how the mouse is moving around? Look, I'm going to use the mouse to hide your comment. This mouse has a battery from the same manufacturer as the batteries that were in the clock. Okay? Also, there's no corrosion on the batteries as I'm looking at them. So I don't understand why this ain't working and this is. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to go for an environmental issue making it okay. I'm not saying that that's not what happened. I'm saying it's still not okay because it shouldn't happen because it's inside the house. I'm not like setting it down next to the garden hose. It's inside the house. I'm not in the passenger seat of rage. I'm inside. Your house is supposed to be your safe space. Stuff's supposed to work at the house. That's all I'm saying. You know what? I hope the stuff at your house stops working. Matt, I hope the stuff at your house. I didn't want to do this, but you drove me to it. You left me no choice. I hope the stuff at your house stops working, Matt. And I'm gonna tell you that the corrosion needs to happen to your. You need to check your batteries for corrosion. I don't care if it's your toilet that stops working. I'm gonna say check the batteries in your toilet for corrosion. I don't care. I don't care. I refuse because I'm not gonna be understanding. What I do understand is that this segment is sponsored by Freedom Fitness Equipment, and you need to reach out to my guy Ashton. Call him on the phone, 980-216-4860. He'll work with you and help you get your home gym set up so you won't be in the recliner of rage like me. He'll sell you stuff that will actually do what it's supposed to do, and you can trust him. Right now, they're having a deal, I believe, on fitness flooring, so you can reach out to him and get your home gym hooked up with some top-notch fitness flooring, so you can get your weights off of the bare floor or whatever you got going on. Yeah, hit him up, Ashton at Freedom Fitness Equipment. I bought stuff from him, and I trust him to hook you guys up and treat you right. All right. Oh my goodness. He's not letting it go. It says flat batteries all the same. There's always a chance acid causes your TV remote battery isn't flat. Leaks happen when the battery goes flat. This is the battery. Does that look flat to you? So, and then when it's sitting in here, let me help you out. When it's sitting in here, it doesn't sit like that. It's like this. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Matt, there's nothing you can say to make me not believe that this is a conspiracy. That's all I'm telling you. It's a conspiracy. It's a straight conspiracy. That's why you got to replace your smoke alarm. Oh, shoot. Matthew Porter, you're in Georgia? Well, hold on a second. You said you're in my neck of the woods in Georgia. I don't know if you know this, Matt. What part of Georgia are you in, Matt? Just tell me, just put in the comments in the chat in the city, what city you're in, and I'll tell you if you are close to me. Because Georgia is, I mean, like Savannah is like 6 hours away from me. Blakely, I'm not sure why you would be in Blakely, Georgia, but let's say you are. Blakely, Georgia is about 6 hours, maybe 7 hours away from me. Chickamauga, Georgia, about 2 hours away from me. I'm just throwing out random things, random names. Atlanta, Georgia is about 2 hours away. Matt can come over. Matt, you could come over and fix my on air sign. Come on over. I trust Matt. I'm not saying it's not fixable. I'm saying it's a conspiracy. Sandy Springs. Oh, okay. That's 45 minutes. Depending on what part of Sandy Springs you're in. Yeah, it's about 45 minutes, man. Heck yeah. You wanna yeah, man. I'll DM you my phone number. See if we can work something out. That'd be kind of cool. My wife and I are gonna be editing video tomorrow. Well, okay, that's not true. I'm gonna be editing video tomorrow, but my wife and I are gonna be putting together our new power rack tomorrow morning, and then we're shooting her review of this gadget that got sent to her, the one that she was angry about, that she got in the driver's seat of rage about. We'll be shooting that video tomorrow as well. And then when this show is over, I'm editing my video review that's gonna go should be going live next week. So yeah, that's what's going on. So anyway, somewhere in there, if we can hook up, I mean, you already got stuff going on. So if it can't happen, it can't happen. But I'll still DM you my phone number on Instagram, and that way we can kind of make plans, because next time you come down, maybe we can make something happen, something like that. And of course, if you need somewhere to work out, come on over. My house is available too. You're welcome to come on over here. Matt from England is not. All right. Tattoo saying you're not welcome over here. You come over here, you got to fix all my dang signs. You got to fix everything that you try to be an advocate for. You got to fix every bit of them before I let you in the house, because since you want me to be understanding. Anyway, let's move on. I'm really excited about next week, man, because I've got somebody who is, yeah, definitely, Matt. I got somebody coming on next week. Normally, I don't do this until the very end, but I want to talk about this a little bit longer. See? Okay. Y'all see, I'm trying to move on, right? I'm trying to move on. But Matt, are you at work? I know you're not working. I just want to know if you are at work, because I will send you, if you're at work, it's cool. I'll send you the link and let you come on here just so we can argue effectively. Over here talk about, I hope my power. Do y'all see this? I hope the power rack doesn't have batteries. Y'all see that? Y'all see what I'm talking about? See that? Y'all saw me leave it alone, right? Uncoachable, man. Anyway, so next week, I want you guys to do me a favor and help me get the word out, because I have not only Matthew Porter coming on, but we got somebody who's, I would consider a fitness icon. His name is Clark Bartram. This dude right here, Clark Bartram. He's probably not going to be dressed like that during the interview, but if he is, I'm good with it. Clark is, when I say he's a fitness icon, he's been on, I don't even know how many magazine covers. He's written a book. I actually just bought his book. It says Where the Mind Goes. And I'm going to be reading that this weekend. But for those of you who are old enough, some of you guys are too young, but for those of you who are old enough to remember Muscle Media 2000, when they switched from Muscle Media 2000 to Muscle Media, it was the July 97 cover. That's Clark right there. All right. And so Clark is now that was him right there. He's been on the cover of Iron Man magazine, Muscle and Fitness, I believe. He's definitely been on the cover of Men's Health. Let's see what else he's been. Let me find out how many magazine covers Clark Bartram has been on. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, okay, so it says he's been on over 100 magazine covers. Muscle and Fitness, Iron Man magazine. He's been in obviously he was on the cover of Muscle Media multiple times. I believe he may have done some men's fitness covers as well. The dude has been, like I said, 100 magazines. I mean, that's just crazy to me. Here's another one. And the other part of it is, it's not just that he was on magazine covers like when he was young. The dude was on magazine covers like well after. This is one when he was 44. All right, that's him at age 44. Okay, like they're always using him like in these ageless muscle type of things. So in this picture right here, he's 60 years old. So to me, and he's got a home gym. So to me, he's got a lot to teach us about what it is to get in shape. A lot of people can teach you how to get in shape, but I think he's got a lot to talk about how to stay in shape for a long time without being miserable either. Because that's the other thing. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I check out guys like Paul Revelia and the stuff that they tell you if you want to like get down to low body fat. Basically, you got to make a choice between being miserable and looking a certain way, right? And most people are like, I ain't about to do all that. I still want to be able to eat Thanksgiving dinner with my family. I want to have a normal life. But Clark has been able to maintain that. I mean, dang, I guess since his early 20s. So I mean, I know he's eating Thanksgiving dinner at some point in his early 20s. I mean, from his early 20s to his 60s. So it's like, how do you maintain that? So I want you guys to the link is already in the is on the description for this video. And in fact, there's a redirect if you're watching on YouTube. There is a redirect so that it will take you to that video once this one's over. Okay. If you're watching on Facebook, I have it on Facebook as well. So you just go to the Facebook page and you can find it there. If you're watching on LinkedIn, it's on my LinkedIn as well. But definitely come with, especially if you're older, if you're in your 40s, that's kind of like the demographic that Clark is going after. He's trying to go after people who are at the age when society wants you to slow down and give up, right? Society wants you to think that when you hit your 40s, that pretty much you should just start expecting everything to fall apart and you're just kind of waiting to die. And I reject that, okay? If that's the case, I wouldn't be alive now because I'm already in my 50s. But there's no reason why you need to give up. So if you're watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching live or you're watching a replay, come next week. Make sure that you join. Matthew Porter's going to be on at 6. Then Clark's coming on at 7, and we're going to be talking about how to kind of keep this thing going for a long time. I know, the sexy thing to talk about is equipment. And I can talk about equipment for hours. I mean, I can prove it. I just talked about it for last week. I talked about equipment for 4 hours. Okay. But, 3, because 1 hour of it was about fat loss. But I talked about equipment for 3 hours last week. I can talk about it for a long time. And I can talk about, the new knurling on this bar or whatever. That stuff is interesting to me. But at a certain point, you got to kind of look good too, If the only thing that looks good if you walk in your home gym and the only thing that looks good in your home gym is the equipment, you're doing it wrong. Because you can't take your barbell with you to the airport or out to your kid's soccer game or whatever. I think we need to be ambassadors for our lifestyle. And part of that is, sadly, people judge you on how you look. And I'm not telling you that you need to look, you don't need to look like Clark. I mean, that's okay. There's a reason why they put him on magazine covers, right? But I am saying that there has genetic potential that we all have. And I personally take it as this year, one of the things I'm doing is trying to do a better job of making the best use of the gifts that I have, of the genetics that I have. Because there are people who don't even, they can't walk, right? There are people who can't walk. There are people who would love to be in our position. And I think you're kind of disrespecting people who don't have the blessings we have if we don't respect the bodies that we have. And so sometimes it's lack of knowledge. So that's why I like talking to people like Clark, like, hey, let's, tell me how you did it, because that's going to help me do it. You know what I mean? And it's going to help my audience do it. I want you guys to succeed. It's one of the things, it's actually in our channel motto. It's helping you reach your fitness goals in the best gym in town, which is right in your house. None of us started lifting weights. None of us who are watching this, none of us started training because we didn't want to look good, right? Maybe we wanted to be strong, but in your head, you weren't like, man, I want to be strong and fat. I don't be strong and skinny. No, we want to look, we all started doing this because we want to look good. And somewhere along the way, society tells you to kind of just lower your expectations and let go of your dream, let your dream die just a little bit. I'm against that 100%. I'm against that. And I also don't subscribe to the lie that once you hit a certain age, it's over. I'm going to be 51 this year, and I see myself as just barely middle-aged. I'm going to live a long time, and I want to look good for a long time. Okay? God gave me the genetics, so, my face looks good. I want my body to match my face. You know what I'm saying? I can't put all this pretty on something nasty. Now, I mean, seriously though, it's like literally just think about it, and then think about the legacy that you have. Your kids, you don't want your kids to grow up kind of like feeling a certain way about their bodies, but at the same time, I want my kids to feel like it's possible to be in shape, right? And that's the norm. Being in shape should be the norm for them. Otherwise, why are you spending all this money on that equipment? Quite frankly, why are you buying all that equipment to put in your house if you don't want to look like you lift? Man or woman? Seriously, we got to hold ourselves accountable. So this is a dude who's done it for decades. He's 60 years old. I cannot wait to hear from him. And I want you guys to show up. I want you to bring your questions. Because if you don't look as good as that, then you should have questions. Don't give up. Don't sacrifice your dream. Don't let people who are you ever thought about the fact that the people who tell you that life is over and that you're just going to get old and die, when you look at them, they're people who've given up on their dreams? You ever think about that? You've never seen somebody who's like chiseled and looking good and looking the way that you want to look. You never see those people talking about how it's inevitable that you decline and die. And you never hear them talking about body positivity. You never hear them talking about it. Isn't there something to that? Again, I'm not trying to shame anybody. I understand that athletes come in all shapes and sizes, but I'm just saying, think about the fact that you never see somebody who is in good shape trying to tell you that it's not possible for you to be in good shape too. They always assume you can do it. You know? Think about it. People who are in shape like this always think that you can do it too. It's the people who aren't in shape like this who try to tell you that it's not possible. There's, oh, you know, he's doing this thing and he's on that. And so they always try to come up with excuses because that gives them an out for why they haven't achieved. If I listen to those people, I would still be a skinny kid with whose family literally is calling them up. Hey, come here. Let me count your ribs. You think I wanted to hear that junk for the rest of my life? That's why I started lifting. There's no way. I didn't want to hear that for the rest of my life. Matt said, I started lifting to make the voices quiet. Now I lift for power. I mean, I don't have a problem with you being strong. Obviously not, no. But the two things are not mutually exclusive. And anybody that tells you that you can't look good and be strong is a liar who doesn't have your best interest at heart. I'm just saying that flat out. You can tell them I said it. Anybody who tells you that you can't look good and be strong, healthy, and capable is a liar. And they don't have your best interest at heart. Because literally, this stuff is uncomfortable. Lifting weights is uncomfortable. I mean, seriously, that feeling you get at the end of a set where you like straining or whatever, you get the burn in your muscles, that's uncomfortable. Why are you doing that to yourself if you're not going to at least look like it? You know? And this isn't just me yelling at y'all. This is me yelling at myself. Like, what are you doing? Y'all really don't want to hear like the way I talk to myself, to be honest with you. If you guys heard like the way that I address myself, you'd fear for my sanity because I'm very aggressive with how I talk to myself. Oh, it's not a friendly thing. But I also understand why I'm like that. I'm like, look, man, I expect a lot out of myself. And whenever I feel like I'm letting myself down, I get angry about it because I'm like, you're letting yourself down. You're letting, like, before you let anybody else down, think about this. It's another one. It's free. Before you can let anybody else down, you have to let yourself down. Think about that. Because every promise that you make to somebody else is also a promise to yourself. So before you can let them down, you got to let yourself down too. You want to go through life just letting yourself down? Seriously? When you were a little kid, you had an image of how you would love to look when you were older. It may not have been all the time, but there was like an image. At some point, you saw something, man, I wish. Why are you letting that little boy down? Why are you letting that little girl down? Don't do that. Like Fat Joe says, don't do that. Don't do that. Over comfort? Why are you letting your dreams die for the sake of momentary comfort? I mean, how can you be comfortable? How can you be okay with that? You know what I'm saying? How can you be okay with that? When you've got, I'm gonna show you guys this again. I'll just do it. I didn't actually plan on doing this. Okay. It's a 60-year-old man right there in his home gym. That's another reason I showed you. He's in his home gym. It's a 60-year-old man right there. Still coaches football. He was coaching football, running around with the 20-year-olds and younger. So that guy's going to be here with me next week. We got to do better. I want to see everybody who's watching this. We normally get about 1,000 views per episode. I want all 1,000 people who see this to change their life so that next year in 2025, you know, it's different. And those of you who are watching this who end up at Home Gym Con, how cool would it be if we all get to Home Gym Con and we look like, everybody's like, man, what have you been doing? Man, cool would that be? You know what I'm saying? If you're on the West Coast, thank you for joining us. Good morning. This is not normally how I end my show, but I just kind of like, it kind of just hit me. I felt like it needed to be said. We need to stop settling. Next week, my guy Matthew Porter is going to be talking about his new, how he is customizing products to make them more home gym friendly. He's got some deals that he's got working on with Bells of Steel. We're going to talk about that. And then fitness icon Clark Bartram is going to be joining us. He's going to talk longevity in the fitness game. And possibly we got a big announcement. So you guys, I see that I've already got at least one DM. Let me go check it. See what you sent me. See what y'all sent me. All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, you guys DM me if you've got a Garage Gym Life banner that you can send me. DM me the picture of it, either on your wall or holding it, whatever. Send it to me on Instagram at Garage Gym Life. And then and then I'm going to pick some of them and I'm going to ask you to email that same picture to me. Not because I'm trying to get on your nerves, but because I want to get the highest resolution photos possible for the project that I'm working on. And I'm hoping to have a fairly big announcement for you guys next week. Once again, I appreciate all you guys for being here. And thanks for letting me ramble with you guys every Friday. I have a great time talking to you guys all the time. And this show would quite honestly not be possible without all of y'all's support. Hit that join button on YouTube. And